Hey there, YouTube. We are jumping into our Ukraine segment after a little bit of fun, good news. We always love to, jump into the good news here. It's good to remind us why we're doing this, right? But now we got to remind us what we're fighting for, and that's what we're, perfect example over there in Ukraine. It really is amazing to me that, glory to the Ukrainian democracy, absolutely. It's shocking to me that Putin is still trying this targeting civilian strategy. Hasn't worked at all. Like, not even, like, there isn't even a small minority of like activists inside Ukraine that are like, trying to go after Zelensky. Like, I haven't even seen any of that, because I'm sure I would have seen it. Russia would be, oh, look, people hate Zelensky now. Look. They'd be, I haven't even seen that. So it hasn't worked at all. This terror campaign against civilians, all these resources and money that they've spent terrorizing Ukrainian civilians instead of attacking frontline military targets. And they're still doing it. They're just doubling down. 8 Ukrainians killed in latest Russian attacks as war enters 500th day. At least 8 civilians were killed in a Russian artillery shelling in the eastern Ukrainian town of Liman. Local officials said on July 8th as the conflict entered its 500th day. And by the way, News Underground's been covering this since day one, and we've had people in the chat since day one. So I'd like to give props to all you OGs who have been following me since day one on this situation. Some of you might remember I was just clicking, we were talking about Ukraine, and because Putin was lining along the border, so we were talking about a little side video about, they're having some UN Security Council meeting. So we tuned in, and that was the meeting where the war was announced right then and there. Well, it wasn't announced, but it was, Ukraine was like, hey, by the way, Security Council, Russia literally just invaded my country. It was the trippiest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. In terms of because these are so boring, right? And these kind of government meetings, these discussions, they're all very buttoned up and very nice. And yeah, they get to Ukraine, and it's like, oh yeah, they literally just invaded. He no longer supports sending aid. He believes that Biden's funneling tax money to Zelensky. He's been brilliant. Yeah. And it really does, Davey, it really does make me question: are these guys, are the Tuckers, are they actually taking money from the Kremlin? Like, what is it literally just because this is a winning issue for Biden? Is that literally the only reason why they're cynically? Because if this was a Trump issue, these guys would be so pro-Ukrainian, it would be disgusting, right? It'd be like MAGA Ukrainian T-shirts, right? If this was a Trump thing and not a Biden thing, right? Am I wrong on that? That there wouldn't be a fucking peep from the Republicans if this was a Trump thing happening and not a Biden thing, right? Look at how the right wing treats Trump with North Korea, MAGA. I mean, they would. Blue and yellow MAGA shirts, I guarantee it. Oh, Trump's a real genius. Trump and Zelensky, Trump saw a winner in Zelensky, and, Zelensky's kicking butt, and, Trump was really smart to help Zelensky out. And yeah, no, Republicans don't believe America is a beacon of freedom. They cynically want to destroy what makes America great, replace it with an authoritarian theocracy. They couldn't explain that. They couldn't enunciate that, but that's exactly what they want. And they let mediocre characters like Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity tell them how to fucking think. It's pathetic. Helping veterans at home, huh? Yeah, is that why you're voting Republican? Yeah, famously, Republicans always helping veterans. Right. And this idea, I love this. Jimmy Dore does this all the time, right? With Flint. He's all like, they're sending all this money to Ukraine, but not any money to Flint. Like the two are exclusive, right? Like the moment we stop sending money to Ukraine, we're just magically going to start sending money to Flint. Like it isn't fucking politics that's dictating where this money is going. Bad actors, disingenuous arguments, half-assed arguments pulled out of their ass 5 seconds ago. Right? 5 seconds of thinking, that doesn't make any fucking sense. Doesn't matter. Moving on. Doesn't surprise me. If if you're Russian, you shouldn't be surprised. But Russia plans to mobilize an additional 500,000 soldiers, 500,000, according to Ukrainian general staff. So, grain of salt, this is Ukraine saying this, but Ukraine doesn't have an incentive to lie as much as Russia does. But I don't have time to read this, unfortunately. But I just wanted to show you this. Looks like there is a, I mean, are they going to do? It doesn't sound like it's going to be a big public mobilization. It sounds like it's going to be a mobilization that is just, happening. And it's interesting. When will Putin enter Russia into a total war state? He's trying really, really hard. Is it when the economy takes a dump? Is that when he puts Russia into a total war stance? Because right now he's still pretending like this is just a lark. Oh yeah, this stupid distraction in Ukraine. Well, we'll have it wrapped up in a couple months, years. It's no problem. It's just, noisy peasants. We'll get to it. It's not even costing us that much. Like that's kind of the attitude from the Russian government, right? Like, it's not that big a deal. We'll be able to handle this, no problem. It's slightly inconvenient, right? How long can he maintain that ruse, right? If you want answers to these questions I'm asking, make sure you check out Vlad Vexler on YouTube. Excellent Russian analyst, Vlad Vexler on YouTube. Yeah, Vlad is great. Putin is going to change the laws and policies and then turn Russia more fascist. It's already happening. I mean, look, I don't know about fascist, but can Russia get any more authoritarian? You're literally not allowed to hold up a blank sign as a protest. You literally can't hold up a sign that's like, I'm protesting nothing. Literally, I'm protesting a blank piece of paper. Fuck gulag, right? So, is there anything left? Is there any, that all the independent news agencies are gone in Russia? Is there really anything left to transform? It's basically a full-on authoritarian, autocracy? Is that what they want to call it? Autocracy? Big Pog energy. Poggers. What do you think, Big Pog energy? Is it cool when Daddy Abandoned Nihilism says poggers? Is that lit? Is that based? Does that make you cringe a little bit? Yeah, you cringe when I say based. I love it. When you get older, one thing that's really, really fun to do is to ruin the slang of the youth. Just shit all over it. It's great. Oh, that's so litty. Is that litty, kids? I'll never use that word again. Like, yes, got him. No. Welcome, poggers. 500 days. So this is, man, how did they... Okay, here's the question. So Zelensky got on a boat, went out to Snake Island for the 500th anniversary of the start of the war. How did they fit his brass balls into this boat? That's my question. Did they have like a tugboat? Is there like a tugboat just off camera? Show me. I mean, Putin, right? Putin doing his little photo ops. I mean, of course, are these orchestrated? Are these photo opportunities? Absolutely, from Zelensky, no doubt about it. Zelensky is objectively putting himself in direct danger, and this is intentional because he's showing the Ukrainian people how to be brave, right? His people are up against this every single day, right? He gets to be in a secure bunker. But he's got the brass balls to come out, put himself in direct danger, and show the Ukrainian people how to be resilient. Amazing. It's amazing. I mean, he really is something else, man. This whole situation would be different if it wasn't for Zelensky. I feel extremely confident saying that, right? If Zelensky just did the normal, hopped on a plane the moment shit got hot and, was like doing interviews with MSNBC from the Marriott Hotel, right? Or the Hilton Hotel, let's be real. It'd be a really fancy one, a million miles away from the conflict. He could have easily done that. This whole situation is the way it is because of Zelensky. I mean, he he is changing history, okay? Because it's not just about Ukraine's independence. It's about how we treat characters like Russia, like China in the future, how the international community treats these entities and their imperialism in the future. It's amazing. Him doing that instant clip straight after the invasion, stating that they were still there, and it was huge. That was a game changer, dude. When he stood outside with those other dudes in the black and night on the Capitol streets, it was like, I need ammo. I ain't going nowhere, bitch. That changed everything. I can't stress that enough. Is there corruption in the Ukrainian government? Is the Azov battalion, is like the 10 or 15% of the Azov battalion that's like right wing, like weird, like not very great? Is all that problematic? Yes. None of that changes what I just said, though. It really doesn't. It really doesn't.
Бажаю здоров'я, шановні українці,
Sky is special.
українки. Сьогодні ми на Зміїному, на нашому Зміїному, який ніколи не підкорити окупанту, як і всю Україну. Бо ми,
Does he tell
країна
Russia to fuck
світла.
off? I hope
Сьогодні
he
ми
does.
вшанували тут наших українських героїв.
Yeah,
Усіх
the soldiers that died that day at Snake Island. There was misreported that all of them died. Some of them died. Most of them were taken prisoner, and most of them have already been released in prisoner swaps. So they're back in Ukraine already. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Did the guy who actually said "fuck off" Russian warship, is he still alive, or was he one of the unfortunate ones that were killed?
воїнів, які билися за цей острів, які звільнили його. І хочеться невеликий клаптик суходолу посеред нашого Чорного моря. Це великий доказ, що Україна поверне собі кожну частину своєї території. Я хочу подякувати саме звідси, з цього місця перемоги, кожному нашому воїну за ці 500 днів. Наші Збройні сили, наша розвідка, Нацгвардія, наші прикордонники, Служба безпеки України, Національна поліція, наші зв'язківці, наш народ. Я дякую всім, хто б'ється заради України. І хай свобода, якої для України хотіли всі наші герої різних часів та яку належить вибороти саме зараз, буде шаною усім, хто віддав життя заради України. Ми обов'язково переможемо. Обов'язково. Слава Україні!
I did not see that, Davey. Thank you for that update. Excellent. Excellent. I'm really surprised that those guys from the Avestal, that battle, I'm surprised any of them are alive. That was a nasty fight.
Ми йдемо вперед.
Avestal power
Дякую
plant.
кожному і кожній.
Urban fighting was nuts. He didn't say fuck off Russian warship. What a missed opportunity, but no, that's great. What brass balls? What brass balls? It's supposed to be held in Turkey till the end of the war, but Turkey released them early. Nice. Turkey, how Turkey is playing both sides of this swimmingly. I am not a fan of Erdogan, but I'm not going to sit here and say that he isn't playing Russia and Ukraine and US like a fiddle, dude. Like a fucking fiddle, man. Putin ain't going to do shit about that. Putin ain't going to do shit about that. He needs desperately for Turkey to buy as much oil as possible. Oh, so thank you, Zrado Blohar. So Budanov was there. The guy who said "fuck off Russian warship" was there on the island with him. Great opportunity. Maybe there's a different video of Zelensky saying "fuck off Russian warship." Is that what he's writing on here? Is he writing "fuck off Russian warship" on this sign?
Україна хотіла всі наші герої різних часів та яку належить вибороти саме зараз. Буде шаною усім, хто віддав життя.
Chem Goblin, what is being said here on the sign here? Do a little quick translation. Slava Ukraine. Okay.
Буде шаною усім.
Looks like he wrote some more stuff as well. All right. That's good. It's propaganda, but it's earned. That's earned. It ain't Putin going to some, hanging out with the people for 5 seconds. That must have been really difficult for him. He's like straight up germaphobe, Putin. That must have been really difficult for him to pretend like he wants to hang out with people. All right, here we go. Ugh. Cluster munitions. It's cluster munitions time, folks. Yeah, it's right. Blowher. Chem Goblin is from Kyiv. All right, here we go. Cluster munitions. Boy, oh boy, this is fun. I'm glad Woke Patriot isn't here. This makes it easier on me that now that Woke Patriot isn't here. Oh, you're not in Kyiv? I thought you were in Kyiv. Sorry, must have you confused. Hot take, Andy. What's your hot take, Andy? Give me your hot take. What's your hot take? I'm asking for it, so I can't be offended. We're gonna have to give him at least 2 chances to get banned. But hot take, Andy. What's your hot take? Give it to me. Come on. What's that hot take? Hot time, summer in the city. Too soon to... Oh, boo, boo. Boo this man. What a hot take. Andy doesn't even have a... Where's my hot take, man? Where the fuck is my hot take? I want a hot and spicy take immediately. That's what I came here for, Andy. All right, anyway. I crumble under pressure. You can't even... Can you give me a lukewarm take? All right, but cluster munitions. Don't you have a hot take on cluster munitions? I do. I think it's okay that Ukraine is using cluster munitions. Hot take. That's a hot take right now. I'll tell you. Look, here's my stance. I agree with the assessment that cluster munitions leave behind unexploded bomblets that could potentially hurt and maim innocent civilians. That is a potential. With that said, Ukraine has pledged to use cluster munitions responsibly. Whoa, that's a hot-ass take. Whoa, dude. Goldfish crackers are nothing like cheese nips. What the fuck is wrong with you, dude? That is a spicy-ass take, dude. You're going to get your ass kicked off the internet for that one, dude. Yeah, Big Pog Energy. I agree. Look, the cat's out of the bag. We got the tanks, the fucking... we got the tanks. We got the fighter jets, the F-16s. They're getting trained by NATO. The cat's out of the bag, okay? The next 2 truly escalatory steps outside of these conventional weapons being used is chemical weapons or nuclear weapons. You know, who knows what Russia's going to do with chemical or radiation. I don't think they're going to drop a nuke, but maybe they'll flirt around with a dirty bomb or fucking with the Zaporizhzhia power plant. Maybe. But cluster munitions, the war will end soon. Look, cluster munitions are extremely effective for for the exact war that is being fought here. Cluster munitions are extremely effective. And, you know, Russia has been using them against civilians. You dropping cluster munitions on civilians? By the way, thank you, Famous, for sticking around. Appreciate that. Thank you, everybody, for being here and sticking around. But Russia over here dropping cluster bombs on civilians when you could be dropping them on Ukrainian trenches. I'm sure they are. I'm just, you know, the only video we have of Russia dropping cluster bombs is, of course, on some rural neighborhood in Ukraine. You know, they wanted the U.S. actually just finalized. Yeah, well, we covered that, Davey, but I didn't look into in the first good news segment we covered that, but I didn't look into it. But I guarantee you, the United States did not decommission all of their chemical fucking weapons. It was likely that those were old chemical weapons that needed to be cycled out of the inventory, and new ones will be made to replace it. No way the United States isn't going to keep a stockpile of chemical fucking weapons. No fucking way. We covered it. No, I don't believe it. I don't believe the military-industrial complex in the United States government destroyed all of their chemical weapons. No. No. I don't fucking believe it. I don't fucking believe it. There's some caveat. There's some bullshit. There's some fucking, right? Oh, not technically, maybe. I don't know. Right. I don't care what. There's some bullshit. We're being lied to. We're being fucking lied to. Oh, yeah, we got rid of all of our chemical weapons. Okay, sure you did. Irreversible. Yeah, the old ones, right? Because it was probably expired. Chemical weapons don't last forever, right? They lose their potency, right? So you make chemical weapons in the 60s, you can't have them forever. Sure, Famous, if you wish. If you wish. You're welcome to join my Discord if you want. You can feel free to hit me up. If you want to join my Discord, if you want to have a longer conversation, I'm right there. Feel free to shoot me a friend request. I just don't believe it. I don't believe the United States doesn't have chemical weapons now in its inventory. I don't fucking believe it. I'm going to need more evidence, is what I'm saying. I want to believe it. I want to believe. You know me. I want to believe. But my bullshit detector is fucking flipping out at this news of chemical weapons being destroyed. Something is up. Anyway, cluster munitions. I've pretty much expressed myself. Ukraine has pledged to deploy these safely, whatever that means. We're going to look into that, right? The lefties are not incorrect that cluster munitions, when they're used normally, they can absolutely 10, 20 years down the line, battlefields that are long since over with, some farmer out there gets his leg blown off or worse. It happens. It is interesting to hear Ukraine say we're not going to use them against civilians. Obviously, we don't do that anyway, but we're going to use them responsibly, which tells me that they better be tracking where they're using these, and that so that they can go over these areas once the battle is over, to demine them, to clear them of the bomblets professionally. Even then, even if you do it professionally, you are still leaving potentially risks decades down the line, right? They get buried under the mud. So it's controversial, but it's also, look, here's the other point that I was making in the Discord. None of these lefties that are like, oh, I can't believe these cluster weapons, I cannot believe Ukraine would do this. This is a crime against humanity. None of these people who were saying that had a single complaint about the artillery delivered mine delivery systems, right? You fire this artillery shell and it drops a bunch of, anti-personnel mines everywhere. Okay, so we already have cluster-like, delivery systems being used. The other thing is that these cluster bombs are effective specifically for this type of warfare. You got a lot of armor and you got a lot of trenches, right? You got a lot of, military personnel moving around in groups. You want a cluster bomb, man. It's trust me, man. I'm going to show you some footage and you will see these fucking weapons are trench destroyers. And that being able to destroy the Russians in the trench without having to engage them first saves Ukrainian lives. It's ghoulish. Welcome to war. You kill your opponent before he kills you. That's the game. All right, I've been teasing it. I'll show you some footage. I'll give you what you want, big poggers. Give you what you're looking for. You dirty little minx. I see you. I see you. You're looking for that action, huh? I got you. Hold up. I got some great clips lined up. Here you go. You want to? I usually save this for the end of the stream, but here you go. We'll give you a little because you're so poggers. See what I'm talking about? One shot, boom, 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 all along a trench line, all along a tree line. Right? That's a tree line right there. Talk to you fucking later, dog. I think that's a cluster munition. There's other footage. There's other footage I have of cluster munitions as well. Pretty sure that is a cluster munition right there. Pretty certain. All right, let's get back to it. Let's get to the debate. Let's have an honest debate about it, though, because the lefties are not wrong that cluster munitions can potentially hurt civilians. So one thing I want to know is, okay, if Ukraine is pledging to use these responsibly, whatever the fuck that means, what does that actually mean? Yeah, America's got a shitload of those. Tukawa. Anyway, I don't need to play this. This is just the fucking State Department saying because we're doing it and blah blah blah. The big excuse that, you know, I love how governments can now just what about, and then that's the end of the argument. But their big excuse as to why it's okay is because Russia has been using them against civilian populations.
We've seen all of the.
Okay. You know, it sucks that geopolitics doesn't allow you to admit fault, right? You're like, the United States would never come out and make a statement that's like, yeah, you know, we know that they're not popular, but we're going to use them anyway. They're not going to say it that way. They're going to be like, it's all just, it's all right, and they're doing it too, and, you know. But that's the game. That's the game we're fucking playing here. So here it is. Ukraine commits to responsible use of cluster munitions following 5 key principles. It's important because he talks about the failure rate. The more duds, the more deaths later. It's okay. All right. Well, okay. So Davey is saying this statement might actually be important. All right. Let's entertain it. Let's see what Jake Sullivan has to say. If I can despise this guy. But yeah, let's hear it. Jake Sullivan. Sellout Sullivan. Got him, dude. Fucking got him. Slammed my fucking Steam Deck down. I got him so hard. Sellout Sullivan. Boy, that's gonna go right to, it's gonna follow him into the grave.
I mentioned, because we've seen all of these reports on the provision of cluster munitions to Ukraine, I will leave it to the Pentagon to make a formal announcement later this afternoon for the next drawdown package, and to go into the details of that drawdown package and the specifics on the types of munitions.
Okay, Famous, no problem.
But I will use this opportunity
Have a good day.
here
Thank
today to make a few points. First, we base our security assistance decision on Ukraine's needs on the ground. And Ukraine needs artillery to sustain its offensive and defensive operations. Artillery is at the core of this conflict. Ukraine is firing thousands of rounds a day to defend against Russian efforts to advance and also to support its own efforts to retake its sovereign territory. We have provided Ukraine with a historic amount of unitary artillery rounds, and we are ramping up domestic production of these rounds. We've already seen substantial increases in production, but this process will continue to take time, and it will be critical to provide Ukraine with a bridge of supplies while our domestic production is ramped up. We will not leave Ukraine defenseless at any point in this conflict, period. Second, Russia has been using cluster munitions since the start of this war to attack Ukraine. Russia's been using cluster munitions with high dud or failure rates of between 30 and 40%.
That is pretty disgusting, but that's right in line with Russian ordnance, right? That makes perfect sense.
In this environment, Ukraine has been requesting cluster munitions in order to defend its own sovereign territory. The cluster munitions that we would provide have dud rates far below what Russia is providing, not higher than 2.5%. And third, we are closely coordinating with Ukraine as it has requested these munitions. Ukraine is committed to post-conflict demining efforts to mitigate any potential harm to civilians, and this will be necessary regardless of whether the United States provides these munitions or not, because of Russia's widespread use of cluster munitions.
Okay, that is an interesting what about argument, though. So he's basically saying, look, like it or not, whether Ukraine, you know, follows laws that they haven't agreed to, right? Because they haven't signed the treaty against cluster munitions. The U.S. and Russia hasn't signed that. So even if they were nice guys that didn't even do it, that is not going to stop these bomblets. Right? Russia is throwing these bomblets everywhere. So the damage has been done, and I guess an argument can be made, well, let's not make it worse. But that is an interesting argument that, well, genie's out of the bag. They're, you know, they're using cluster munitions that are absolutely, you know, decrepit, probably from the Cold War era. How do they work? Is it one shell bounces around? So it's one shell fired, and then it at a certain point in its trajectory, it explodes outward, and a bunch of bomblets saturate the area.
We will have to continue to assist Ukraine with demining
it's fucking
efforts
nasty.
no
Did you see
matter
the-
what,
Did you see the clip?
given the significant use of cluster munitions.
Yeah, I mean, it's nasty. It's don't even fuck around with this shit, dude. Imagine you're a Russian, okay? Imagine you're a Russian and this is your tree line. This is your tree line. I don't know if this is a cluster munition. This doesn't seem like a cluster munition. Cluster munitions look a little different. This feels like a concentrated artillery battery. I don't know. Either way, same. It's kind of the same thing, right? You fire one shot and a bunch of fucking explosions happen in a controlled radius. Yeah, I don't. This might not be. I don't know. I think I might be incorrect with that. There's different kinds. Okay, well, yeah, you kind of get the point. Fuck shit up. It's really useful for anti-trench warfare, right? For hitting a specific, like, because that's what they do. They figure, okay, the Russians are in this section of tree line, right? And then they're trying to blanket that with artillery, right? But it's so much better to fire one that just like ba 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 hits a, you know, concentrated area. All right, let's hear about this. Hold on. Ukraine has pledged. Give me my tunage. Ukraine has pledged to use cluster munitions while adhering to 5 key principles. Okay, here we go. Including the prohibition of their use in cities and on Russian territory. Wow. Wow. That's pretty fucking big. As well as keeping track of affected areas. Okay, boom, boom, boom. That's what I'm talking about, man. God, he's so good at this. Fuck, he's so... Why is Zelensky so good at this, dude? What makes him so special? What the fuck happened? I'm so used to our leaders being coward, mediocre, right? Like weasels. Okay, famous. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I don't know if the streamer's a big streamer, they might not want to associate with me. That might be very toxic and bad for their reputation. I keep it so goddamn real it hurts. People could get caught up, you know. I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to hurt anybody's reputation. Well, I mean, Zelensky had to sign off on this at some place, right? I mean, you know what I mean? Zelensky had to be signing off on this stuff. There's no way that this happened without Zelensky's go ahead, without his thumbs up, right? Chem Goblin. Here's a 30-second video short explaining how cluster munitions work. Oh, baby. Oh, it's so good. These are so good. Thank you, Davey. These fucking... nasty.
Cluster bombs, which are dropped from aircraft or launched from the ground, contain submunitions or bomblets.
Hold on, let me do this here. Hold on. Chem Goblin showed me a really cool trick to get actual control of vertical videos. So, thank you again, Chem Goblin, for showing me how to do this.
Which are dropped from aircraft or launched from the ground, contain submunitions or bomblets that spread over a wide area before exploding. They're intended to target military convoys or...
Nasty, dude. Look at that shit, right? So like, you know, here's your tree line, right? Here's your Russian positions right here.
Convoys or installations, but can kill or injure anyone who happens to be nearby. The CBU-105 cluster bomb contains 10 canisters.
It doesn't look that cool. This is a video game or whatever. This is some CGI. It doesn't look that cool. But yeah, Zadov, huh? You want a big bomb from Zelensky, do you?
The CBU-105 cluster bomb contains 10 canisters, each of which disperses 4 explosive bomblets called skeets, which can spread...
The bomblets are called skeets? Yes! Yes! Oh, skeet. Oh, no, skeet. God damn!
Spread out over an area the size of a football field before detonating. The CBU-105 sensor-fused weapon first saw combat in the early months of Operation Iraqi Freedom. On April 2nd, 2003, an Iraqi tank column was advancing toward a Marine unit in southwest Baghdad. The Marines had no tank support, but a new weapon was on its way. A B-52 bomber dropped 2 CBU-105 cluster bombs aimed at the leading edge of the Iraqi armor. The entire first third of the Iraqi tank column was
It's too bad Russians don't clump up quite this bad, right? The Russians will make some mistakes, but they're not going to clump up like this. This is like 100 tanks in a small little group. What are you playing, beach ball together or something? That's funny. But yeah, thank you, Davey. That's a more accurate depiction of cluster munitions. Let's get back to this, though. Okay, 5 rules. Prohibition using them in cities, Russian territory, and keeping track of effect. I mean, they're saying it. They're whispering sweet nothings in my ear as a lefty, right? As a lefty that wants to. I'm not a pacifist, obviously, but I also don't want to really be a warmonger either. As much as like this shit is cool, you know what I mean? I would like to see an end to this. So this is the exact kind of sweet nothings that I need to hear to placate my conscience. Okay, let's be real. That's what this is. No, Lenny, it can't. Cluster bombs can be delivered through artillery as well. All right, so here we go. This is Reznikov. He is the defense minister, I believe. Minister of Defense in Ukraine. Right. Okay. All right, so let's see here. I want to see an end with Russia total defeat. Yeah, me too. I don't want to see Russia conquered. I don't want to see the end of Russia, but I want to see Russia's nose bloodied. And I want to set it in stone that this style of conquering, this imperialism that you're trying is not going to do it. Look, you want to take over a country, hire some bankers, right? Do it the American way, right? Somewhat controversial figure, Reznikov, I agree. All right, but here we go. Here are the 5 things that Ukraine is pledging. And they had this ready to go. They saw this. They didn't make this announcement and then saw the reaction and then they're reacting on it. They had this shit ready to go. They fully plugged in PR department here, fully understood the kind of resistance and negative press that they were going to receive with this announcement. So they're already out in front with it. Very smart. Okay, 1, Ukraine will use these munitions only for the deoccupation of our internationally recognized territory. So Donbas, Kherson, Crimea. These munitions will not be used on the officially recognized territory of Russia. Huge win. Hey, Zrato Blowher, thank you so much for your contributions in the chat. You're awesome, man. Thank you so much. Garbage Fuel award for you, buddy. Here, you get the Garbage Fuel song on your way out. Garbage Fuel would like to thank all you badass motherfuckers in the chat. Thank you so much. Zrato Blowher. I love the comments here. I love smart people making smart comments. I appreciate that. All right. So number 1, love it. Only going to use it in the occupied territories. Not going to fire, because they've been attacking certain things on Russian territory, right? Oil depots, bases, military targets. So they're like, even if it's a military target, we're not going to use cluster munitions because that could hurt Russian civilians. Number 2, we will not be using cluster munitions in urban areas. So no cluster munitions in Bakhmut then. To avoid the risks of the civilian populations, these are our people. They are Ukrainians. We have a duty to protect. Lovely. Cluster munitions will be used only in the fields where there is a concentration of Russian military. It's perfect. That's exactly how you'd want to use them. They will be used to break through the enemy defense lines with minimum risk for the lives of our soldiers. Saving the lives of our troops, even during extremely difficult offensive operations, remains our top priority. It's exactly what I wanted to hear. Ukraine will keep a strict record of the use of these weapons and the local zones where they will be used. That's what I'm talking about, man. That's a... Yes! 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 Based on these records, after the deoccupation of our territories and our victory, these territories will be prioritized for the purposes of demining. This will enable us to eradicate the risk from the unexploded elements of cluster munitions. The Minister of Defense of Ukraine is by law acting as the head of National Demining Agency. In this capacity, I will ensure the implementation of the relevant legal framework for the demining process after our victory. I guess there's some legal stuff. I don't know. Who's going to be like, get off my lawn, right? It's like, do what you got to do, man. We will report to our partners about the use of these munitions and about their efficiency to ensure the appropriate standard of transparent reporting and control. So they're going to, talk to the military, to talk to Uncle Sam, make sure, hey, I'm not pushing it. Brilliant. They had this ready to go. This wasn't a reaction after a couple weeks of bad press. This was day one. When the State Department announced that they were doing it, they had the statement ready to go. So this was today. This was put out. No, yesterday. This was put out yesterday. Yeah. So Jesus, Ukraine really does have a really good, PR. They're really plugged in. I think it's just very young people. It's just young people, right? All right, so this was the article from Woke Patriot. I felt, out of respect for Woke Patriot's defense of the lefty POV against cluster munitions, I thought I would read a little bit of this. Will U.S. cluster munition decision meet pushback at NATO summit? No. No, not really. Not really. How effective do you think short-range... Davey, yeah, so a very young government compared to the U.S., that's what I thought. How effective do you think short-range missile traps for invading airship platoons would be? I don't know. I'm not a battlefield expert. Ukraine seems to know what, they have a lot of tools at their disposal, and they do seem to be very picky and choosy about what tools they use for what attack that they're trying to achieve, right? When NATO leaders gather in Vilnius, Lithuania next week, U.S. President Joe Biden will bring along a plan to deliver controversial cluster munitions to Ukraine. The administration announced today. But not all allies and partners are on board, setting up a potential series of awkward interactions. So yeah, the awkward interactions is that there are NATO members that have signed the anti-cluster munitions treaty. They don't have cluster munitions to give Ukraine. So it does put them in a bit of an awkward position. Yeah. Express their moral stance against it, but as to yeah, exactly. They'll make some statements. It's bad. We disagree with it. Anyway, moving on. We're not going to talk about this one again. Bye. The decision, including as part of a new $800 million weapons package, comes at a time when Ukraine is firing roughly 1,000. This is amazing. 1,000 artillery rounds per day. And the U.S. is still trying to ramp up production of those unitary rounds. Interesting. Biden's national security advisor, Jake Sullivan, announced at the White House. So we already saw this. Sullivan's announcement today clears the way to deliver 155 millimeter dual purpose improved conventional munitions. DPICMS. Hey, Davey, is it true that the government loves their acronyms? To Kyiv for its forces to fire from existing artillery launchers. Advocates for the move say that the weapons could help mitigate an artillery round shortage while providing an effective mode of attack against larger Russian formations. However, concerns about the weapon's high failure rates and civilian risk make them hotly contested and banned in many countries, including Germany, France, and the United Kingdom. Yeah, so the issue is a number of allies have signed the convention, but a number of allies have not signed the convention, and it's for individual allies to make decisions on the delivery of weapons and military supplies to Ukraine. So Stoltenberg said, so this will be for the governments to decide, not for NATO as an alliance. So yeah, all they need to do is save a little face. They just need to, just all the various acronyms. You have your own thesaurus of them, right? Your own. That's so funny. Your own table of contents for them. That's funny. Anyway, yada yada blah 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 blah. You get it. Like I said, they're gonna have to save face. They're gonna have to France will make some statement, and that'll be it. No one's gonna do anything substantive. If you want to read this whole article, though, it's right here. All right, so here we go. I felt this, not that I'm a big fan of media doing both sidesism or anything, but I felt this video did a good job of, explaining what's happening. They're doing cluster munitions. Cluster munitions have historically been bad, and then a pretty good defense of why cluster munitions, there should be an exception in this case, especially with Ukraine making that 5-point promise there. But so like I said, let's watch this. You tell me what you think.
This hour with breaking news out of the United States, and the Pentagon has confirmed that it plans to send controversial cluster munitions to Ukraine. Let's go straight to our US correspondent Mark Stone for the very latest on this. Mark, good to have you with us. So it was trailed from earlier today that these cluster bombs could be sent to Ukraine, but now that confirmation has come in. What are we expecting the Americans to send to the Ukrainians?
So this guy, quite frankly, says some bullshit. He says some. He's clearly wanting a certain narrative. I'll say that. You tell me what you think.
Yeah, on the face of it, this is highly controversial. Cluster munitions are a very, very controversial form of artillery. They are banned by 123 countries around the world. A 2008 convention bans their use or their transfer to other countries. Almost all NATO countries are signatory to this convention, with the exception of a couple, including the United States. These weapons have been used by Russia on the battlefield in Ukraine. They have also been used by Ukraine against Russia, Ukraine using their own existing supplies of cluster munitions. But now, controversially, the United States has announced that it will supply its own dormant stockpile of cluster munitions to Ukraine to allow them to use them on the battlefield. Now, why is this controversial? Well, because statistics suggest that 97% of victims of cluster munitions that have been used in past wars are civilians. Because of the nature of a cluster munition, it is one bomb which is dropped.
That's a nasty stat, though. That's the kind of stat I need to know more about, but that's the kind of stat that would change my mind, because that tells me, are they even that effective then?
Or fired from the ground at a battlefield, and when it impacts, or just before impact, it throws out many small bomblets over a wide area. Many of those, or a proportion of those, do not explode and are then left providing a legacy of problems down the line, and civilians, many of them children, in places like Syria and other places, are the victims of this legacy weapon. Now, the Americans are arguing that the time has come where they have no choice, really, but to supply Ukraine with this weapon. They are saying that they're not supplying it just because the Russians are using it. They are supplying a cluster weapon which is more sophisticated than the Russian one. The Americans arguing that the risk to civilians is lower because fewer of the bomblets will not explode on impact. In other words, most of them would explode at the time, and so there is less of a legacy problem. They also admitting, the Americans are admitting, that there is a massive supply chain shortage. The Ukrainians are running out of existing weaponry in the form of existing.
Is Ukraine whipping up some factories? I hope. It's been 500 days into this. Do they have at least a couple factories cranking out artillery shells? I would hope so, with more on the way.
Or conventional artillery, and so a supply bridge is needed to fill that gap, because the Americans haven't got enough conventional artillery to be able to supply to the Ukrainians. They are announcing today, as you can see here, that they will be supplying these cluster munitions to the Ukrainians. Look, I think on the face of it, Kamali, what this tells us is that Ukraine is not winning this fight at the moment. The long-awaited spring offensive may as well be called the summer offensive now, even the autumn offensive, because it simply hasn't materialized.
This motherfucker over here comparing the current offensive to the Kherson offensive, a completely different set of completely different situation on the battlefield. Russia wasn't dug in, right? They had just started the mobilization. They were undersupplied. So yeah, they got rolled. Right now, they're dug in like a goddamn Georgian tick, and quite frankly, the Ukrainians have made amazing advances. Considering what they're dealing with on the front line, it's not the movement that we saw in Kherson, but like I said, it's a completely different scenario. I think it is completely unfair, right? It's fair to say it's not. That it's not that they're not bowling over the Russians, right? That they're not blasting through. But it's also not fair to say that it's been a failure. They have consistently been gaining ground every single day.
called the summer offensive now, even the autumn offensive, because it simply hasn't materialized. Combine that with a shortage of artillery, and the Americans are now doing what many within the United States administration did not want to do, and supplying this very controversial weapon.
How the fuck do you know? You backing that up with something? How do you know Uncle Sam didn't want to do this? I don't know. I hope he's sourcing that off something.
To Ukraine. The caveat the Americans are saying is that Ukraine will be using it on its own soil. The onus is therefore on Ukraine to clear up the mess after, presumably, hopefully the Americans would say it's won. And the Americans will say they will help the Ukrainians to clear up any mess in terms of mine clearance and munition clearance down the line. But yeah, this is a big, highly controversial decision.
It certainly is, Mark, and it comes as part of a huge...
That is certainly the narrative that this guy wants desperately, right? So controversial, so controversial. Oh, no, no. Nah, it's kind of a wet fart is what it is. This is how controversial it actually is. Okay, moving on. Oh, controversial. Wow. Nah, not really.
New military package that's going to the Ukraine, some $800 million worth of military aid. It's going to include armoured vehicles as well, including the Bradley and the Stryker. How has this decision been received by politicians in the United States? You said there was some reticence to do it, but I guess that also comes up against the idea that America, the US, does not want to keep having to supply money and arms to Ukraine and wants to try and get some kind of decisive breakthrough as part of this offensive.
The military-industrial complex is ecstatic to have this situation in Ukraine. They would much prefer a 20-year war in Ukraine than a 20-year war in Afghanistan. So I'm not quite sure where this is coming from either.
Yeah, actually, I do think there is an attempt, and I've heard this a few times recently, the phrase being used is to future-proof
the white and
conflict.
the red.
I mean, there is no guarantee that there will be never-ending support for Ukraine. American politics is in flux. There's an election next year. There is the prospect of a change of government here, which may mean less support for Ukraine. So there's an attempt now to front-load.
That's a pretty big maybe. That's a pretty big maybe. I mean, let's be real. The Republicans, once they get in office, and Ukraine starts making them look good. You know what I mean? When Ukraine becomes their little golden goose that they go, oh, we're helping Ukraine, we're defending democracy. As soon as the shoe's on the other foot, right? This whole, anti-Ukraine, maybe Putin's a nice guy bullshit will go right out the fucking window. Yeah, Lenny. Yeah, exactly.
Ukraine with the weaponry it needs so that if needed, it can fight its own war, and it's got the weaponry front-loaded, future-proofed, if there is any sort of change in policy back.
I'm sorry, this guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. What the fuck are you talking about, dude? What?
Less support for Ukraine. So there's an attempt now to front-load Ukraine with the weaponry it needs so that if needed, it can fight its own war, and it's got the weaponry front-loaded, future-proofed, if there is any sort of change in policy.
Is there any proof or any source to, the motivations, right? Is there any proof that the Joe Biden or Democratic administration is helping Ukraine at the pace that they're helping because in case they lose and they want to front load Ukraine? I mean, it just sounds like this guy's making this shit up.
Back here, in terms of American political reaction, not much at the moment. There has been unease even within the State Department as recently as a week ago about whether or not to supply these weapons to Ukraine.
We didn't sign the treaty.
Decision has now been made, as is being announced, that they will supply it. I think there is some unease among European.
Davey, he's on TV, okay? He read some books or something, okay? Come on, man. Sky News is a legitimate news source.
allies. I mean, after all, most countries, Britain included, are signatories to this agreement not to use or supply to others cluster munitions. I mean, it wasn't all that long ago that we were doing reports about the Russians using cluster munitions in places like Syria and the controversies surrounding that. The difference, the Americans would argue, is that the Ukrainians are not going to be using these munitions on civilian populations. They will be using it on battlefields in the east of their own country, and it will,
well, that's what I do,
in a military sense, have a decisive impact because of the nature of these weapons. They can wipe out large areas of heavily dug-in Russian soldiers. I think we've got a quick clip here from.
I mean, he said some shit I disagree with, but I don't think he's being actively disingenuous or dishonest about the situation either. I think, okay, I take it back somewhat because he has honestly, he's thrown in a lot of pertinent information and context here. So, God damn it.
Jake Sullivan, the national security advisor for President Biden,
yeah.
preempting the announcement that we're now hearing from the Pentagon. And the Americans are accepting that there is a legacy risk to civilians from this decision, but their argument is that the risk to civilians of not supplying this weapon is greater because the risk to civilians from Russia occupying and attacking Ukrainian territory is greater than the risk of providing these cluster munitions. Nevertheless, as the dust settles on this decision, it will be seen as highly controversial, and some will argue that America will lose the moral high ground in this war by providing such a controversial weapon.
Oh yeah. Oh, the Western Alliance is going to crumble at this news, guys. Oh yeah, the U.S. with its moral high ground. Are you kidding me? We're funding Israel to do a full-blown apartheid in Palestine to fucking crickets. You think you think Uncle Sam's moral authority is going to get hurt with some cluster munitions? Okay, bud. Okay. So moving on. Cluster munition. If anyone wants to have any more discussion about cluster munition, feel free to comment. But that's basically my cluster munition segment. I'm not a pacifist. I don't think, of course not, but I don't think I'm being hypocritical. I like what Ukraine is doing. I like how they're deploying it. I agree with the Grateful Dead hippie crowd that's like, can't we all just get along? Look at how we're destroying ourselves, and isn't this disgusting? Isn't this sick? Look at our sick creepo world that we live in, right? I agree with all that, but I also live in the real world, right? I'm on a moving train. I don't get to just sit this out and be like, well, I'm morally superior to this argument, so I'm not gonna pick a side. I'm not a coward. So I am picking a side here. But I am acknowledging, I would like to know more, and that's a good point that Davey made up, but this 95% of cluster munitions, just hurt civilians. Is that a number that's skewed because horrible authoritarian monsters use cluster munitions on, civilian populations? Or is it because they're just so fucking ineffective that, they miss all the soldiers, they miss all the tanks, and then once they're out of there, then they're only effective at killing civilians? I would like to know more about that. I would like to know more about the hard facts, the hard numbers about that. Is it skewed because of monsters using this tool on civilians, or is it skewed because it's just a bad tool that doesn't actually do what it was designed to do, right? Blow up tanks and blow up soldiers. So that's my cluster munitions take. Send just a bunch of fat politicians in a fucking rocket flying out of the... All right. Moving on from the cluster munitions. No, I have not heard Medea Benjamin embarrass herself recently. Whoa, True Sponge. Whoa, we got the real SpongeBob in this motherfucker. Man, I tell you, I'm sweating so bad I feel like I'm living in a goddamn pineapple under the sea, dude. I feel like I'm underwater. So fucking hot. Make me a little scared of going through the woods now. Sure. Rightfully so. All right. Moving on from the cluster munitions discussion. I knew this was the case. Just opened it, so without further context around it, the 97 is probably based on this. Okay, take a look at this. I do live in Canada, Panda Man. I am currently a U.S. citizen who is immigrating to Canada. I'm a permanent resident in Canada with U.S. citizenship. I'm soon going to be a Canadian citizen. I'm going to be taking that test soon. It's going to be fun. I'm going to get naturalized. I'll make sure to tell everybody that whole process. But yeah, so I suspected this was the case, that AI was being used really heavily in this battlefield, right, to analyze photos. My kid is so lucky. My kid has Canadian and U.S. citizenship, huh? Both. Like, not permanent resident. Citizenship. So that's all my wife. She's so smart with the paperwork. Probably a lot more context around it, but document is big to read now for me. Okay, I'll take a look. I put that in the politics section. I'll be sure to take a look at that later. Thank you to Kawa, because I do want to know more about that. So anyway, I suspected. I still plan on renouncing my U.S. citizenship. Yes, that is the plan. Once the timing is correct and it doesn't hurt my family in any way, I will be likely renouncing my U.S. citizenship. We'll see. But that is still my plan. Yes. All right. Back to this. Who cares about me? I was suspecting. Yeah, no problem. I don't care. I was suspecting that AI was being used to analyze photos, to analyze the battlefield itself. I had no idea that motherfucking Peter Thiel. Yeah, that Peter Thiel. Dangerous oligarch who thinks he's going to live forever. Technocrat psychopath. Peter Thiel has invested in a company or developed a company that is developing software specifically for AI-based battlefield analysis. I had no idea Peter Thiel was like in this industry, but this is crazy. This is an amazing. You trust me. If you want to know, like, if you're into like the nitty-gritty and you think that this fucking sci-fi shit is really cool, the drones and everything, this is your video. This is a full breakdown of how the Ukrainian military is using AI to give them a leg up on the battlefield. Yeah, Panda Man, that's wise, because he's not a leftist. It has nothing to do with his frightening technocratic fascism. It's got nothing to do with that. It's got nothing to do with Peter Thiel's, insane psychopath ways. No, I'm jealous that he's not a leftist. Are you smoking meth? Think I give a fuck where Peter Thiel's politics lie? All I see is his actions, and his actions are incredibly dangerous. The guy's a fucking maniac, fucking oligarch. You think I want him as part of the left? I'm jealous? No. Once again, like for the 10th time today, dead wrong. Yeah, he's trying to, whatever. I'm not in the mood to talk to, how do you say your name? Lay. I'm going to call you Lay from Russia. Do you think that the war in Ukraine is justified? Do you think Russia is justified in invading Ukraine? So that's the question I'd like to ask him. Let's get to this video here.
Systems making decisions about who lives and dies completely changes the entire frameworks on which we base war.
As AI redefines our world,
AI, artificial intelligence,
a new type of warfare is emerging, and we're seeing it take shape on the battlefields of Ukraine. With superpowers battling for AI supremacy, many experts fear we're hurtling towards an unstoppable arms race.
The worst case scenario is that warfare is accelerated to a point where nobody can control what is going on.
Is it too late to rein in the rise of artificial intelligence?
No.
War has a particular set of dynamics. Bluff, retreat, advance. All of these things were true 12,000 years ago when we were fighting in bands of hunter-gatherers, and they're true now as we're lobbing hypersonic missiles at each other.
To the untrained
I've
eye,
seen this guy
Ukraine looks
before,
a
this
lot like
analyst.
any major land war of the past century. But look closer, and there's one transformative factor in this conflict: operational speed.
One way of describing AI in weapon systems is automation. And the reason we want automation in weapon systems is because it makes them faster. And in war, if you can do things quicker than your enemy, then you're at a huge advantage.
Let's use artillery as an example. Russia has more guns, and they've used their firepower advantage to blanket Ukrainian positions. But Kyiv says it's countering Russia's numerical advantage by being nimble, quick, and accurate. And
yeah, he didn't have any ear protection, and he wasn't covering his ears. Like he's already deaf. He doesn't care.
it's made possible, they say, by artificial intelligence. Ukraine and their Western allies are constantly gathering a live feed of images from thousands of drones and satellites, intel from spies working behind enemy lines,
This
as
is
well as
huge.
videos and pictures shared by ordinary Ukrainians to a
I always suspected this was happening, but I just had no proof.
government chatbot and on social media.
Intelligence analysis is effectively pattern spotting. And pattern spotting is something that AI systems are really, really, really good at.
Instead of human analysts trawling through this massive data, AI models trained to find objects of interest in images are constantly processing it all to build an intelligence picture of Russian positions.
They have an image, run it through an AI system, and it will tell them accurately where the enemy tank is, for example.
After AI models identify a potential target, that information is sent to a Ukrainian military commander who decides whether to attack.
Yeah, so a human is ultimately making the decision.
This US tech company claims their AI is the digital brain of Ukraine's targeting system. Palantir was co-founded by billionaire Peter Thiel in the wake of the
Wait a minute. Panda Man, you mean to say that that a billionaire oligarch surrounds himself with yes men that think he's really smart and a genius? I've never heard of that before. You're telling me Peter Thiel has a group of sycophants that claim his farts don't stink at every opportunity? That doesn't make any sense. Oligarchs don't buy media, certainly not positive media coverage for themselves. I mean, he doesn't look like a freakish ghoul that wants to live forever. Good luck, Peter.
the Iraq War
I'm
and works
serious.
closely
Keep
with the
going.
US military using data and AI to locate targets. Now they've released details of their next generation AI platform.
AIP unleashes the power of large language models and
So this application is called Plantier. Plantier. Interesting.
cutting-edge AI.
They say this tool will be like a military chatbot, offering commanders real-time strategic advice from
Awesome.
simple inputs.
Generate
Insane.
3 courses of action to target this enemy equipment.
The AI system will analyze a battlefield and offer options for the best plan of attack based on the data.
Generate a route from Team Omega to the enemy equipment.
So, critical decisions which may have taken hours in the past might now be made in a matter of minutes.
Destroy the enemy equipment.
The company says their systems will act ethically and within the law, require human oversight, and crucially, cannot independently carry out an attack. But the technology to build fully autonomous weapons already exists. And with speed a decisive factor in battle, some fear platforms like AIP are
Plantier's
another
the
step
company.
towards making
Okay.
machines the ultimate
you.
decision makers in war.
If a serious shooting war starts and one side is using AI systems to make quick decisions about who to
Yeah.
build, the pressure will be on the other side to immediately adopt those.
It will never be robot versus robot because it's too fucking expensive. Tisrael. It's too fucking like that's the depressing thing is that we'll never really have the Gundam, Armored Core style, future where mercenaries are battling it out and armored, big fucking robot suits. It's all too fucking expensive. I don't know. Maybe one day it will get cheap enough to actually do, but it's more cost effective to take a 19-year-old and teach him how to kill somebody, give him the tools to do so and the training, than it is to make a $19 million robot that gets blown up 5 seconds into the fight, right?
Those style of systems as well.
Oh,
because
Chem Goblin,
otherwise
I didn't
they
know
will get
that.
wiped
Delta,
out.
huh?
In the future, when you have AI systems competing against each other, we don't really know what war is going to look like. That is such a huge unknown.
Palantir CEO says the West risks falling behind its rivals if they don't supercharge their investment in artificial intelligence.
Great point,
Not everyone
World.
is convinced.
I never thought of that
To
one.
go as far as to say whoever has the most powerful AI will have a...
I love that we're seeing this now. Is anybody surprised? This isn't CGI, right? Every single time this Boston Dynamics company put out a statement, they were like, don't worry, we're not going to put guns on our robots. We're not going to put guns on our robots. Don't worry. Nobody was fooled. Like, literally, okay, all right, oh, sure, okay, you're not going to put a gun on it, okay.
If they don't supercharge their investment in artificial intelligence.
Sure you won't,
Not
buddy.
everyone is convinced, though.
To go...
Yeah, except, there we go. Special ops units would be the main force. We increase the amount of cyber. Tisrael, I kind of see, like 5 soldiers, like, a group of guys going out, and then they have tools like this, right? So they get to a certain position, then they deploy their robots, right? So yeah, that could change. Write a book about it. What, you write a book about it? I don't even read books. Like, I got time to write one. I have so many books I haven't read.
Go as far as to say whoever has the most powerful AI will have a superpower, if you will. I think that's going a little too far.
Nah.
And it's a very useful narrative for those, of course, who want to sell the technology.
There's also doubt about whether these cutting-edge systems can deliver on the hype in the chaos and confusion of battle.
There's a very shiny, very futuristic idea. If we have enough data and we have enough AI, problems of the world will be solved. The reality on the ground is that most military organizations operate with limited resources.
Underneath the slick visuals of PR, at the heart of any AI model is data. And without enough clean data, AI systems make mistakes.
Getting reliable data about a messy and highly dynamic context of conflict is very, very difficult. There's always a margin of...
Tisrael, that's a solid point if the technology gets there, right? If the technology is alliterated on, like what would AI and what would robots look like from 100 years from now? They'd be like, just like computers, or they got cheaper, everything else got cheaper, technology gets cheaper, cars are cheaper, everything is cheaper. It's, Moore's law would apply to military robots as well. Yeah. But I mean, it's like she said, armies are constantly having to deal with resource shortages. They're never going to the front line, like, with everything that they possibly need. So it's hard to imagine a future of warfare that is just fully automated. It is hard to imagine that, because eventually it will come back to the humans, right? Once the resources have gotten thin enough.
Error in AI systems to bring these systems into a realm in which matters of life and death are at stake strikes me as irresponsible at this point. The problem of trustworthiness has not been solved. The problem of reliability has not been solved. A measure of caution is required.
But the demand for ever more powerful AI products has caused Palantir's stock price to soar. And they're not the
Tisrael, yet.
only ones. Artificial intelligence is projected to add trillions of dollars to the global economy in a few short years.
Oh, yeah.
And no country wants to be the one left behind. The US National
robots are
Security
creepy,
Commission
dude.
told its military to invest tens of billions of dollars in AI. China has laid out plans to be the world leader in artificial intelligence by 2030. And Vladimir Putin says whoever gains a monopoly in AI will, in his words, be the ruler of the world.
These are the words of a megalomaniac. The reality is that the enemy has a vote, and if you are trying to develop these systems to dominate the world, well then so are they. So we're in a classic arms race situation.
Yep.
So, is it too late to avoid an age of AI conflict? For years, scientists and tech leaders have been warning about the dangers of AI in autonomous weapons, and the UN has tried to get members to agree on how to regulate so-called killer robots without success so far, though. But with a wave of powerful new AI tools recently released, international lawmakers are now scrambling to put up guardrails.
If you think...
Are they scrambling to put up guardrails? I don't know. Prove me wrong on that one. Are they scrambling?
War is bad now. You should try it without legal and ethical frameworks. If an AI system kills civilians, who is it that then goes up against the War Crimes Tribunal?
Without clear accountability, experts fear the worst.
An AI system.
Boy, that sounds like exactly the kind of non-accountability that an authoritarian would fucking love. I'm not guilty of war crimes. Robots committed all those crimes, right? Oh, you gave the orders. No, I didn't. You can't prove that. None of those orders came across my desk. I'm literally not responsible for anything that my robotic army has done. That's a perfect that's a perfect, right? It's the perfect scapegoat for these guys. Zero accountability. They love it, right? And that's the United States as well. How many times has the United States done something and they do it with plausible deniability, right? Well, okay, the lid was blown off this. Well, there's no actual proof that anyone from the United States, Iran-Contra was like that, right? There's very little proof that the United States approved of any of this, right? The few shreds of evidence that we did get was all that was needed. But plausible deniability, boy, leaders and militaries love that.
Can only identify objects. And in this objectification is also a sense of dehumanization.
Yeah, of course.
We know from the history of warfare and the history of violence that the more dehumanization plays a role in a conflict, the greater the atrocities committed.
The world has faced existential threats from devastating weaponry before, though, and countries have pulled themselves back from the brink with negotiations and treaties. The same focus and cooperation will be needed to stop the AI arms race from spiraling out of control.
We have lots of experience of how these arms races end.
Yeah.
They either end in both sides realizing that it's gone too far and they cannot control the systems, or they end in catastrophic war.
Oof. AI Watch. All right, that was good. Pretty good thing there from Channel 4 News. Watch out for that AI. I do think AI is going to change. I think how we're in like the social media age or the information age. I think AI has the potential to bring us into a new age of technology, that they would like, okay, well, this was the start of, AI being, used, day to day in normal society. I think we will see that. We'll have to see, though. There was one Soviet that decided ending the world isn't the answer. Women of the world take over. That's what I got to say. Russia assault backfires as they're met with heavy Ukrainian artillery. Russian soldier is captured. So real quick, I don't think there's any dead bodies in this footage. Some red meat, and you get a little POW interview here at the end. So let's take a look. I also wanted to comment on how the Daily Mail is now getting into the let's show war footage with rock music algorithm game. I guess they're like a lot of different places are getting clicks. They want to get clicks now. Some rock music over war footage. Some generic. Yeah, okay. It's bad taste. It really isn't bad taste. These people are getting fucking shredded down there. Okay, this isn't Happy Time Frolics. I mean, listen to this music. It sounds like a fucking Bud Light commercial. Drink Bud. Bud Light, the #1 drink of Russians. Getting blown up. Bud Light sponsored Russian blown up. Have a cold one before you become a cold one. Bud Light. Please drink responsibly on the battlefield. Now it sounds like Imagine Dragons. So I believe these are the Russians that are now retreating. Few sources in Russia, I check up on what they're saying about this whole situation from time to time. Their views and Prigozhin went from give him more ammunition to he's a piece of shit criminal to be executed for treason, which is kind of funny. There seems to be some people in Russia, though, like Prigozhin, but the propaganda is already working. The propaganda that's like, that did a 180 overnight on Prigozhin. Prigozhin's the best. He's a hero of the people. No, Prigozhin's an enemy. He's a traitor. No in between. Man, you gonna play the rock music over this shit too? Fucking Daily Mail, man. What rookies? Okay, well, there's no translation, but you can see he's a captured soldier. Yeah, from hero to criminal in 3 seconds. That's really hilarious. But what the fuck? Prigozhin back in Russia to what? Pick up some weapons? How? What? How? Russians drink Bud Light on the battlefield. Intense shootout on the front lines as Ukrainian forces engage Russian opponents. Now, I believe this one also does not have any dead bodies, but there is a section right here that I think I will censor starting at second 20. Well, yeah, they're going to show it twice, huh? Okay, I will show this muted up until a certain point because you do hear someone, could be cries of pain, not quite sure. You don't see anything. But you do hear cries of pain. Mr. Cider? I've never heard of this. I don't know what you're talking about, Mr. Cider. I'm basically a boomer at this point. I have like no time for myself. Just fully unloads, and we're gonna show that one more time too. Fully unloads like a whole, like canister. That was like a saw, right? Is that what they call them? But just a full fucking canister of ammo into this, dirt mound filled with Russians. But listen to this. Dude. Oh. Just throw up the white flag. The Ukrainians consistently yell at these guys in the trench, get out, give up, you can live. They tell them that. Welcome back, 15 drinks in. Did you change your name? I think you changed your name. I recognize that icon, but I think the name is different. The windows are all filled with traitors. He's scheduled for next month. You think so? Contaminated cider deaths in Russia. No. Oh, that's terrible. The poisonous alcohol, they just can't stop drinking. It's a meme at this point. The death toll from drinking contaminated cider in the western Russian region of Ulyanovsk rose to at least 29, with a further 61 people falling ill, authorities said Tuesday. The health ministry, quoted by news agencies, said the total number of intoxicated victims had reached 90, with 29 fatalities, up from the previous death toll of 16, with several dozen hurt. The ministry said 4 people were very seriously ill, with another 30 classed as serious in one of the worst such cases the country has known. In a news release issued on Wednesday, the ministry said the beverage had been branded as Mr. Cider. I would like to announce officially Mr. Cider's Mr. Cider is now working with Garbage Fuel, the #1 drink mix company in the world. Garbage Fuel would like to congratulate Mr. Cider on all of its success overseas. Garbage Fuel, of course, is in charge of distributing Mr. Cider. Congratulations, Mr. Cider, for poisoning Russia. It's terrible, though. People are dying, man. And asked residents to report any information about its sale. Wow, so it's like legitimately being packaged up and sold. It's legitimately being packaged. This isn't like moonshine. You can put your life at mortal risk by drinking the ciders, the ministry warned. It sounds just like garbage fuel. It is literally garbage fuel. Victims were hospitalized in clinics across the region after Governor Alexei Reznikov said Monday on Telegram that they fell sick after drinking Mr. Cider produced in Samara region. The governor was drinking it. The governor, hey, stay away from me. No problem, buddy. We will gladly stay away from you, buddy. No biggie at all. There you go. Look how far away we're staying away from you. Bye. Bye. Yeah, we'll gladly stay away. See you later, dumbass. Rushkey added that law enforcement officers were seizing these products in a region. Wow. So boxed up and sold poison. Russian media reported Monday the alcohol contained methanol, which is highly toxic. Yeah, we are keeping the situation under control, blah, blah, blah. Of course you are. Such cases are not uncommon in Russia, where cheap alcohol substitutes are a persistent problem, particularly in rural areas with very low standards of living. In 2021, at least 34 people died from drinking bootleg liquor containing methanol in 2 separate incidences. 2016, more than 60 people died in Siberian city of Irkutsk after drinking bath essence containing methanol, a toxic substance used in antifreeze. In December, at least 31 people died and 20 others were hospitalized in serious condition after allegedly drinking tainted liquor sold without authorization in India. Wow. Wow. They used to type out these actual messages instead of spamming the same thing over and over. Yeah, it is true. The Russian trolls, where are they? We used to get a bunch of them. Now they worry about gaining more land. Yeah. Okay, what did I want to show here? I think I just wanted to show this interview. Yeah, I really just wanted to show this interview. We've kind of seen all the rest of this. Yeah, then they talk to a military spook. Yeah, so I just wanted to show this beginning part of this CNN interview. Tisriel, I know I'm not saying that correctly, but thank you for that follow. Yeah, what happened to all the Russian trolls, man? They were so funny. They were so funny. Oh, my uncle in 2013, he died in Donbass when Ukraine personally, murdered him. Really? Your uncle, you don't say, huh?
No longer on the front lines, Anton recounts how he ended up a prisoner of war. Back in Russia, he was behind bars for the 3rd time for drugs. When they put me in prison, I heard they were recruiting. Serve 6 months and they pardon you, he tells me. So he signed up with Storm Z, a unit made up of convicts attached to the Russian Defense Ministry.
Should have been Storm M for meat grinder. Got him! I'm so good at this, guys. I'm way more entertaining than your favorite streamer. You should switch over to me.
After only 2 weeks of basic training, he was shipped off to the front lines near Bakhmut. After days of intense shelling, with no food and only rainwater to drink, he heard Ukrainian troops outside his foxhole.
Rainwater to drink.
He assumed they would execute him. I thought that was the end, he recalls. I switched my rifle to single-shot mode and thought, I'll shoot myself.
Almost killed himself.
I couldn't.
Almost killed himself.
This video, shot by soldiers of Ukraine's 3rd Assault Brigade, shows the tense moments when Anton and his comrade, Slava, surrendered. The Ukrainian troops told them, unlike Russians, we don't kill prisoners. We spoke to Anton, Slava, and another soldier in a makeshift jail in eastern Ukraine, concealing their faces and not using their real names. The 3rd Assault Brigade granted us access to the POWs
those Russians.
and 2 of their soldiers.
So we hid his face and we're not using his real name. So here's half of his face so you can easily figure out who he is.
Access to the
Gee, I wonder who it is. Is this like CNN's first fucking interview? Help this guy out, man. He could potentially go right back to Russia. Great job, CNN. You're really killing it. Like literally, you're gonna get this guy killed.
POWs, and 2 of their soldiers were in the room for the interviews. The POWs will soon be transferred to Ukrainian intelligence. They didn't appear to be under duress and agreed to share their stories.
Yeah, Davey, that makes
Slava,
sense.
also serving time for drugs, said conditions in the trenches were grim.
Yeah, I'd rather be a prisoner of war with Ukraine any day of the year than a prisoner of war with Russia. Have you seen the prisoners of war coming back from Russia? They look like they're starving. I know a few people in Russia, they're still people, delusional maybe, but still people. I really don't. I wouldn't like them to get killed for a cause they have nothing to do with. So here's the question, Tisriel. How guilty is the apathetic, unpolitical person living in Russia? How guilty are they for, not fighting back, not pushing back against this, right? It's more complicated because it's not the United States. You don't get to have dissent. You don't get to push back against the Russian government and not receive any ramifications. But I think a fair question should be asked: how guilty is your average Russian citizen that's acquiescing to these crimes? How guilty is your average American citizen for acquiescing to the crimes of Iraq and Afghanistan and Vietnam?
Food was scarce. We didn't have medical kits, he says. His commanders took all the painkillers to get high, he recalled.
That's fucking crazy. His commander was getting high on their supply of painkillers. Wow.
And as a result, issued nonsensical orders. Morale was terrible.
So he's all high, you go over here, go over there.
Sergei was wounded by a grenade before surrendering to Ukrainian troops. He was a contract soldier, not a convict. He completed his 6-month contract in Kherson and went home. But when he hesitated to sign another contract, a military prosecutor gave him a choice: prison or back to the front.
Boy.
He ended up outside Bakhmut under constant Ukrainian fire. Discipline collapsed. The officers fled. All illusions were shattered. It was very different from what I saw on TV, a parallel reality, says Sergei. I felt fear, pain, and disappointment in my commanders. A law passed last year in Russia imposed sentences of 3 to 10 years
this
for soldiers
call for Russia
who
to pay
surrender
reparations.
voluntarily.
It's not happening.
If he returns home in a
It's not
prisoner
happening.
exchange, Anton may end up again back in a Russian prison.
All right.
Men like
So
Slava.
there you go. If you want to see the rest of this interview, I'll go ahead and give you the link right here. But I just wanted to show that interview with the POW from CNN there. Interesting stuff. All right, moving on. Little one from your boy Chem Goblin. Thank you so much, Chem Goblin. All the way from Mastodon. I believe this is Mastodon. I think this is Mastodon. Doesn't say Mastodon, but is this Mastodon? What the hell is this? Echelon? Agora Echelon. I don't know. So this is, boy, Mastodon needs to fix this. But I had no idea what the fuck I'm even using here. That is pretty impressive, though. That really does show how open source Mastodon is. That you can customize your server or your slice, so like you don't even need to use Mastodon logos. That's pretty cool. It's not happening with Putin. It's unlikely that Putin will survive the end of this war. Yeah, I mean, is Putin's power being challenged? Really? Honestly? I mean, Prigozhin, yeah, I guess, maybe. Prigozhin's going to be swinging. But anyway, this is a nice clip from your boy Chem Goblin here, just showing Ukrainians going through some of the loot. This is what it looks like when Ukrainians are searching through some of the, they find a Russian ammo cache and they're looking through the boxes. I assume they've already demined it, that they've already checked for mines and booby traps, but I don't know. They seem a little cavalier opening up some of these boxes. I'd be a little scared. I'd be a little scared too. Taken down by the people. There's no other way. There are other ways. Yeah, there are other ways. It's not necessarily an either or there, but I do think he's in trouble. Yeah, Chem Goblin, you'd wait outside and be like, yeah, I'm curious, but I'm not that curious. Right? Yeah, I'm just gonna hang out here, have a smoke, guys. You go ahead and have fun. It's all you. You can take all the souvenirs you want, boys. I'm just gonna hang out here. Oh, well, that's an interesting one. Sure, we can show that, Panda Man. We can show that clip. Yeah, go ahead, guys. I'll cover you. Prigozhin hits the pot and turned crazy. There's a chance for him to do what he planned to do. I mean, look, the whole thing with Prigozhin was weird because he wasn't challenging Putin. He was sucking Putin's dick the entire way. He was challenging Shoigu. You know, he was challenging one guy in the military, and he was saying, "Look, I love Putin. Putin's my favorite, and I'm so sick and tired of seeing Putin, you know, the military leaders around Putin fail him, and we're gonna take down Shoigu, and I'm gonna take his place." I guess that was the assumption, maybe, and I'm gonna run this war better. So I've never seen a coup attempt like the one that Prigozhin maybe supposedly attempted, right? I don't know. Was that even a coup attempt? Because, like I said, he wasn't going after Putin. He wasn't trying to depose the Russian government, according to him, according to the statements that he made when he was doing that action. And now we see Putin, like, I don't know, like, I think Putin is discrediting him, slowly discrediting him, making him more irrelevant, and then either arrest him or assassinate him so that at the right time, so that he's not a martyr. That's what I kind of feel is going on, maybe. What do you think of the Netherlands kicking out of their WF-backed government? So I think that happens quite a bit. Yeah, so I heard about that because people were making clog jokes when I was reading the headline. The Dutch government dissolved, or they had to, so this happens actually. It's actually really normal in the Netherlands for that to happen, for there to be an impasse and then a re-election to happen. Apparently what was being proposed was pretty extreme, something to do with immigrants, I think. Yeah, he might die now in car accidents or something. Yeah, maybe it might be more effective to arrest him and put him in one of those cute little steel cages like Navalny, and parade him around as a criminal, right? Further shitting on his reputation and not being defeated outright at the moment. Yeah, talk about the Russians, immigrants, and taking away the farming. Yeah. So, but apparently though it's not like totally uncommon for that to happen in the Netherlands, that for the government to dissolve and then a re-election is immediately triggered. Ukrainian army found military torture rooms in liberated territory. So I'm not going to show this whole video because it's a lot of interviews with like Russian propagandists and stuff. But the beginning of this video is quite amazing. They put him in a steel cage. It's like send him to home. No, I mean, arrest him, bring him to Russia, and then how in Russian courts they put you in a little cage, right, while they do a kangaroo court, right? There are troubles with keeping the living standards of the new immigrants. Part of that is when the immigrants that stay and the entire family can fly over. On that point, some parties disagreed. I mean, that, yeah, that's a little problematic, That doesn't give you the right to treat people like trash, but that definitely creates an incentive to sneak into the country illegally. With that said, I mean, if you've watched this show, me, I'm extremely pro-immigrant. I think immigrants have the potential to make migrants and immigrants have the potential to make your country better, greater. But I do think that there does need to be some rules. I think I'm okay with that. I'm Vosh, brother, because of the beard. Me and Vosh would actually not get along if we had a debate. Vosh and I would definitely not get along. No doubt about it. We would probably get along on certain topics. We'd probably fully agree on certain things, but I think there's some other things that we would definitely not get along on. Yeah, but it's 17 million country with immigrants, so scaling up was hard. They tried to do it, but didn't go fast enough. There's some problems. As they lose land, Putin will milk his oligarchs more and more to fuel the war. They will not like it. Yeah, they won't like it, but they don't got a choice. Putin has no problem killing an oligarch. Putin has no problem killing an oligarch and his entire family. The oligarchs are cowed. The oligarchs that are left are the ones that do what they're told. Most likely, they're going to burn Putin at the stake. They're Italy, one's into Mussolini, saying we're the ones to blame. It's all him. Maybe. That's one scenario that could play out, but right now I have not seen any oligarch that stands up and disagrees with Putin is smoked immediately. That's what I've seen. You think Ukraine is backing... you honestly think Ukraine and its backing are evil, not Putin? Putin is just Russian? Huh? I honestly think Ukraine... You are 15 drinks in. You're drunk. All right, let's get back to the video here. This is really something else. These are Russians that are training how to put a tourniquet on with their head, covered. And I guess the idea is that they're slowly suffocating as well. But the idea is that because when you're losing blood, you're actually losing consciousness very quickly. So you need the ability to put your tourniquet on as quickly as possible. NAFO, and he's a fellow NAFO fella. Don't make me do it, Davey. No, I don't want to talk about NAFO, please. No. So yeah, so these Russians here were practicing to put on a tourniquet, right, under duress.
In the liberated territories of the Zaporizhzhia.
Trigger warning. You're not going to see dead bodies or blood or anything, but we are going to look at what was likely used as a torture room. So we're going to be looking at a Russian torture room. So just a trigger warning there if you don't want to see this. One smoking going to be milked as well. You decided no longer the boss. Yeah, this is Warthog, and I would like to point out, this is Warthog Defense. I would like to point out that Warthog Defense recently said something incredibly stupid about the riots in France. Basically fully agreed with the right-wing narrative that all the riots were being caused by immigration. Did not take the time to mention why the riots started. So I just wanted to point that out. Yeah, I'm glad you agree, UNTV, because when I saw that too, I was pissed off. I was like, really? Because he was looking at a burning building. Look at these dirty migrants. They need to go home. It's like, how do you know migrants started that fire? How did you know migrants started that fucking shit? You're not checking papers. Oh, this is what the multiculturalism, right? Warthog Defense didn't say that, but that was in line with the narrative, right? So I was disgusted to see that, and I'm glad you're pointing that out, UNTV. So with that said, these clips are not made up. These are not fabricated clips. So let's go ahead and watch them. This is a Russian torture chamber.
The torture rooms are located in the basements. Also on the video, terrible attributes were seen that were probably used by Russian soldiers for bullying. Soldering irons, gas masks wrapped with electrical tape.
So you can suffocate. Tie their hands, tie them to a chair, put that on their face. They suffocate, panic, right? It's very uncomfortable. Look at that. Saws, knives. That looks like a soldering iron. Yeah, UNTV. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I've said that several times on stream, and I was very pissed when I saw it as well. I was like, okay, I mean, it's one thing, UNTV, it's one thing to just report on it, right? But he was repeating the right-wing narrative that it was caused directly, because of immigration and migrants. And didn't even bother to mention the shooting, the police shooting that started the whole incident. So pretty bad reporting from Warthog Defense on France, no doubt about it. Wow, look at that. That is a fucking soldering iron right here. That is a soldering iron. These, I can't. And where are the whatabouters, huh? Where's the whatabouters? Russia, where's the Russian whatabouters? Oh, what about this and what about that and what about this, huh? Show me Ukraine doing this to anybody. Show me any evidence whatsoever. If Ukraine is doing this, they're at least not doing it in the public. And leaving fucking horror chambers, spread across the battlefield.
and Russian propagandists.
Right. So there you go. That I just wanted to show that. If you want to see the rest of this Warthog Defense clip talking about Russian propagandists and all that, here you go. Do not like and subscribe to Warthog Defense. Do not like and subscribe to Warthog Defense. All right. So yeah, this one I wanted to show. I cannot show all of it though. Military Mind has no problem showing dead bodies, so I can't show you everything here. But I did want to show you this middle clip. Yeah, right here with Russian prisoners. Right here. Let me just make sure. Yeah. Right here. Yep. Just making sure this is the clip I want to show. Yes. Okay. Yep. So right here, we'll start this off. If Ukraine and yes, UN TV. I'm well aware of TVP World, Polish right-wing government. Fully aware of that as well. Thank you. I don't know if you were already typing that up. If Ukraine was doing this, Russia would have used it already. True. Yeah. No. Exactly. Yeah. If Ukraine was, had torture chambers, on the battlefield, surely Russia would have run into one of them. Add to RSS feed. Oh, RSS feeds. Oh yeah, I gotta fix that. I gotta get you're talking about the news ticker? Yeah, I gotta fix that. I'll fix it. I'm on a free trial.
Very symbolic for.
But Ukraine steals organs. Okay. The Nazi Azov battalion steals organs and wears them on the battlefield. I saw a picture with a Azov battalion guy with a big spleen on his neck. He was wearing a spleen. I guarantee it. I have pictures. No, I mean you can add RSS feed instead of subscribing. No, well, I'll explain it in the Discord. I'll explain it in the Discord with the news ticker, how it works.
For the Russians. This video is from the In Factum Telegram channel. Enjoy.
Stop. Посадка направо. Там ваших.
I saw it.
Направо.
I got a picture. And then it shows you a picture. It's like clearly a Russian guy with like a baby, like a toy baby doll on his gun. Dude, that's a Ukrainian. Azov.
Вставай, что стоишь? Де? Бачиш їх? Бачиш?
I'll never get over how I never see what they're shooting at.
Що вони казали?
I never see what they're shooting at.
Ігор? Они Ігоря искали.
So freaky. I mean, like, you're just a couple meters away from each other, shooting into each other's bushes. I was saying instead of subscribing to Warthog, okay, Chem Goblin. Well, I do it for the clips. Warthog Defense has some really great clips. I swear, we're only stealing inflated appendixes. Just inflamed appendix. You're actually they're performing appendicitis on Russian POWs.
Сука, вылазь, жить будешь. Жить будешь, сука, вылазь.
Just doing medical treatments to help the Russian POWs, right? They got tonsils and appendices. They got the tonsils of a Russian, right? Oh man, you should have seen his dental work. It was terrible. We did the guy a favor, did some battlefield dentistry. Tonsils are teeth that they pulled, rotten teeth, right? No, they didn't torture him. Normal dentistry, right? Painkillers, everything, but they still wear the teeth. That's classic.
Прострел!
Classic.
Stop!
Okay, Tisriel, okay. There's also a bunch of Russians with Azov-related imagery raiding random Discord servers and posting Nazi stuff. That doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me at all. I would like to see at the end of the war, I'll reiterate this, I'll repeat this. I would like to see Zelensky make a full-blown announcement about fascists, tattoos, and people that are openly supportive of Nazi ideology and purging them from his military once the war is over with. I would like to see that because I do think, especially at the start of the war, that was one of the strongest propaganda attacks against the Ukrainian military was these, the 10-15% of the Azov battalion. That's pretty problematic, right? That was a pretty effective propaganda tool against Ukraine.
Выйдешь, будешь жить.
Yeah, Chem Goblin. It should be further enforced. I get it though, man. You got priorities, right? You got priorities when you're out there.
Обошел, быстро.
Yeah, you win TV. I mean, that's kind of where I'm coming from, right? It's like it's kind of counterproductive right now when you need every man on the battlefield.
Оружие выкинул. Второй где? Сюда на. Раздевайся, снимай броник. Стоп, 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 стоп.
It would have to be. Yeah, I agree. You win TV. Yeah, I agree.
Сдавай.
I mean, with that said, though, you're still, you know,
Документы.
there is a moral argument to be made,
Кидай
right,
сюда. Кидай сюда. Кидай.
normalizing those people, normalizing those right-wing freaks, even if they are
Пообещали,
useful.
жить будете. Мы же пообещали, жить будете. Вот слово дали. Вы сами на нашу землю пришли. Раздевайся, документы. Я контрактник, дружище. Сомска? Ты Сомска?
You know, and I'm hearing the Ukrainian military are starting to trade POWs for children,
У кого
children
стяжки
that have been
завязать?
kidnapped by Russia.
У кого стяжки завязать?
And it really, you know,
Стяжки.
when you think about that,
Контроль.
you know,
Прямо,
Russian,
прямо,
you know,
прямо,
Ukrainian
прямо.
soldiers coming home, POWs coming home, and Ukrainian
Выходи,
children
сюда иди.
coming
Сюда иди.
home.
Двое.
You can see
Сколько
why
вас там?
taking
Сколько
prisoners
вас
is
там?
so important.
Сюда. Сколько вас там?
You know, why they
Сколько
risk
вас
their
там?
lives. Because honestly, you know,
Двое.
your average soldier on the average battlefield isn't going to risk their fucking life to take some POWs. You know, they're just not. And go on Reddit combat footage and you'll see exactly what I mean. No one's got time for POWs. You get smoked. Ukraine has been taking the time, obviously for, you know, PR reasons, because they need to make the West happy, you know, following the Geneva Conventions and all that. But I think the main reason why is that it brings Ukrainians home. It brings Ukrainians home. There's no info on that. Can't say anything supportive or denying it. Are you talking about Russians kidnapping Ukrainians? Because that's absolutely happening. Or are you talking about Ukrainians trading Russian POWs for Ukrainian children? Because, yeah, I think I just read that in a headline. I don't think I've actually dug into the source on that. So it is just a rumor from me at the moment. I hope it's true.
Еще тут кто-то есть? Все, лягли мордой в пол. Лягли. Документы на.
Yep, no problem. Getting right on the ground, sir.
Документы. Где документы?
He's like, okay, I'm getting my documents very carefully.
Контролем блиндажи.
Whoa, puts the fucking barrel right on his back.
Защищайте. Давай сюда.
Puts the barrel right
And
on
that's
his
all
back.
for now. Thank you for.
Shit, dude. That's
Давай сюда.
oof. Right? Because he asks him for his documents, but he's also like, no, exchange of POW children. I don't know anything on that. Okay. Yeah, I read that. I'm not 100% certain if it's true. So I showed this insane contraption last Ukrainian stream, and I was disappointed because we didn't get to see it in action. So thankfully, the internet has provided, and we get to see this insane contraption in action. If you don't know what we're looking at, this very clever Russian, I think this is a one of a kind thing. I think this is custom built by this guy. It's not perfect. It's got a little sight on it, but you know what? It's got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 5 or 6 AK-47s attached to it. He's got a trigger mechanism that pulls their trigger all at once. AK-4700. Yeah. They're doing what they can with what they got. It's not like, you know, I think, is this guy even a soldier, right? He's probably a civilian, right? Just trying to help Ukraine out as best he can. So here's this machine in action. Yeah, and as you can see here, Chem Goblin is making a great point. That is a lot of recoil. But can we get this fucking thing in Battlefield? Can we, you know, how Battlefield 1 has all those really weird prototype weapons? Can we get this one in the Battlefield game that they make about the Russian-Ukrainian war? Please? Can we please get this? You have to build it, right? You gotta collect a bunch of AK-47s and then bring them back and build it. There's a video of a Ukrainian American Max Pro taking a direct ATGM missile, but the crew survived. Wow. But yeah, what a contraption though, huh? He got this guy right here, right? Oh. Way to show me up, Bob. One more time.
Веди.
Your task is to shoot down a plane. Yes, sir. Hey, you know, A for effort. A for effort, dog. Video games already incorporating this war? Really? I haven't seen that. What video game has, like, what shoot are you talking about? All right, let's take a look at Davey's link here. We're getting close to the end of the show. Let's see here. Ukrainian Max Pro received a direct ATGM hit into the engine, leading it to be disabled and the crew abandoning the vehicle. The Max Pro next to it seems abandoned, though I'm not sure. Both are undocumented. Better mousetrap. Yikes. So is this, are these Max Pros provided by Europe or the United States, Davey? Because I'd like to say that this is our tax dollars at work protecting the Ukrainian troops. I mean, look at that. I mean, direct hit and they're getting out of there. They're from the U.S. Hell yeah, boy. Hell yeah. There you go. Your tax dollars at work. God damn, dude. That is a fucking direct hit. That is a direct hit. Look at that. Look at, you see it flying right in there, right into the windshield, basically. Maybe into the engine. Boom, right there. Pow, dude. Damn. I hope the driver survived. It's hard to think that the driver wasn't at least injured from something like that, a direct hit. But they are designed to take direct hits from the front. That's where they're probably the heaviest armored, is from the front. So I hope that driver made it out of there. Great video, Davey. Thank you. I can't, you know, these vehicles are extremely powerful. Yeah, they would have to be. I mean, that was a direct hit. Damn, son. Damn, look at that fucking beast. Look at that beast, dude. It took a fucking missile right there or right there. Shit. Why is this here? We don't need that. But this is, go ahead and say this is fake. Sure, I don't care. I don't care if it's fake or not. But here we have a proud Ukrainian showing off a trophy that he got from a Russian trench, I assume. And it's as cringy as you would expect it to be. Yeah. These motherfuckers bring in weeb weapons. Look at this. Look at that shit covered in weeb stickers, dude. Covered in fucking anime lolicon stickers and shit, dude. I don't know. Maybe not lolicon. Yeah, I don't see any lolicon stuff there. Pink fucking magazines and shit. You think it's a Ukrainian AK? Oh, okay. Maybe some Ukrainian having some fun. This looks like a Russian weeb thing, dude.
Oh, so I see. Oh my god.
Yeah, okay. Yep, definitely. Yep, definitely. Yeah, uh-huh. Yeah, why not use it, right? Use it. Yeah, it does, Panda Man. It does. And yeah, these are definitely, I don't know, that looks like Evangelion. That looks like that chick that has that stick in her mouth. She's like a ninja with a stick in her mouth. Wow. Wow. So fucking cringe. Imagine you're out there using it and then your commanding officer is like, you know, checking on your trench and he sees you with this fucking weapon. Right out of Fortnite. This is a Fortnite weapon right here. It looks like one at least. Wow. It's real. It's real life. Okay, I'm gonna save this video for maybe Wednesday or Monday's update stream. We're gonna save this one. It's a 10-minute video that's going over some strategy stuff. We're nearing the end of the stream. I don't want to slow it down any further. Our doctrine is take city with infantry and secure it with the tank squads afterwards. We're a bit more advanced than Russia. They just send people in waves mixed with some tanks. Yeah, or they just send a tank without any support whatsoever. That's where you're not seeing a massive Zerg rush from our side. Yeah, no, Ukraine is doing this correctly, right? Instead of Zelensky's ego being bruised by not having another Kherson, steamroll, Zelensky understands that the battlefield conditions have changed, and he has allowed his military to change dynamically with the conditions of the battlefield. And because of that decision, less Ukrainian soldiers are dying. Smart decisions are being made about targets that are being hit, and progress is being made kilometer by kilometer every single day. Right? It would make Zelensky look like a goddamn fool to I don't care how many people it takes. Retake Bakhmut. I don't care how many people it takes. Why? What's in Bakhmut? A bunch of corpses? No, the smart move is to chip away at the sides, right? Slowly surrounding Bakhmut, taking advantage of situations where they come. It's exactly what Zelensky and the Ukrainian military is doing. Right? I'm not going to sit here and say it's like a resounding success and that they're, you know what I mean? I'm not going to say that because I don't know the whole story, but I will say that it appears to be a smart strategy implemented well. I will say that. So we've already seen this video. We got a little preview at the beginning of the stream there, but show it one more time. I'm not 100% certain if these are cluster munitions or if these are just, fixed. Or these are on tracks. These are artillery on tracks. These are wheeled artillery. So I'm not sure either or. Shit's blowing up. You love to see it. Yay. I'm proud to be an American. Another one from Davey. Boy, Davey just filling up the chat here at the last second. Ukrainian forces shelling Russian positions using captured TOS-1 MLRS. Everyone knew it'd be extremely hard. Ukraine is doing it right, and they don't owe anyone shit. Fuck nuts, dude. Holy fuck. They don't owe anyone shit. It's up to them to commit the way they see fit. Yeah, I agree. Tukawa. At the same time, Zelensky is under a deadline. The support from the West is not never ending. There are limits to all of this, right? Uncle Sam will stick around a long time. Will France and Germany stick around as long? Probably not. So Zelensky is under some pressure to have successes on the battlefield. We're just going to survive economically. Yeah, we'll see. It is pretty shocking that, with all the... probably shouldn't do the Command and Conquer. I love this track from Command and Conquer, but it's got Hitler in it. It's the Hell March, right, from Command and Conquer, the Hell March. I just used this song in one of my clips. Yeah, it's good. I do love me the Command and Conquer Hell March. I do love me the Command and Conquer Hell March. They have other versions without Hitler, though, just so you know, if you want to listen to the Hell March without Hitler. So this is really sad, and I'm not going to sit here and say, ha, you get what you deserve. This is really, the Hell March, listen to the track in your own time. You'll see what I mean. So I don't like to see this. I'm not going to say this is great. You get what you deserve. I'm not your average lefty, I guess, on Twitter, who makes excuses for being kind of gross, right? So this happened in Russia, the afternoon in Kolomyia region of Russia. A woman was injured as a result of a lightning strike. So they're in deep water, and the worst case scenario happens and lightning strikes. I'm sure everybody that was in the water was hit with this lightning bolt. And let me tell you about getting struck by lightning. You can get struck by lightning and die hours later, right? You'll go to the hospital fully conscious, fully awake, and your heart could give out. There's it can actually be really quite fatal. Not even instantly. Getting struck by lightning. So as you can see, she's disoriented. She falls over. normal stuff that happened. All of these people were hit. All of these people were hit with the lightning bolt, which might have saved her life, right? Because if the electricity is not distributed through one person, it's distributed through multiple people, you have less likely of a chance to die. But still, I hope she made it out alive. You know, I hope she made it out alive, and I hope she, you know, in her private time, shits on Putin. Zeus came along and said, fuck that person in particular. All those people. I hate when those things happen. It is sad. Yeah. I mean, I've seen some pretty nasty footage. Like, I saw there's this one clip of a bunch of guys, like they're in like crackheads or something, hanging out at a public park under a tree, like in America or something, right? Lightning bolt hits. They all stand and fall over. Like, they all, like, you know, stand up and then just fall over like wooden planks. And like half of them died, like right instantly, right there. Really scary stuff getting struck by lightning. It's no joke. What? Okay, I know. Warthog Defense. I'm sorry, he's got the good clips. He's got the good clips. Okay, I'm not making excuses for who he is politically, but he's got the good clips, folks. And this was too good. This was too good to not show you. Yeah, I'll show you up until we get to the Zelensky interview. Yeah. It's too good of a clip. Well, you win, TV. I'm speaking generally. I've just noticed that the left on social media, especially on Twitter, will often make excuses to be disgusting. You know, they'll make fun of people dying or make fun of, you know, that kind of stuff, you know, and it's like, I find that to be counterproductive because the left does have to hold itself to a higher standard in terms of caring for humanity, giving a shit about human lives, even if they are human lives you disagree with politically or otherwise. So I've seen a nasty trend of lefties on the internet kind of glorifying violence or, you know, just being too gross about a situation, you know, celebrating someone dying in some way. I think it is counterproductive for the left. As, like, you know, regardless if they deserve it or not, right? Even as Schadenfreude and they 100% deserve it, I still think it's counterproductive. I'm just a pussy-ass lefty. Yeah, wow. So this helicopter's like completely out of fucking control? Is that what's happening? We'll get back to that clip. One sec.
Ukrainians are continuing with their devastating strikes deep behind Russian lines. An explosion followed a fire and secondary detonations has occurred near occupied Sorokin in Luhansk Oblast. It's probably another ammunition depot.
I don't know. Maybe Ukraine should have, you know, blown up an orphanage. That probably would have been more effective, you know, battlefield-wise, right? Kill a couple hundred civilians, you know? That'll get them.
Ебать.
Jeez. Ooh, that's an ammo cookout, boys. You need cluster munitions for that. If it fell into water, don't think the ammo would explode from that. The helicopter? Yeah, I guess we'll see here. All right, Suka Blat. Let's move on.
Russian K-52 helicopters shooting thermal traps right over the people in temporarily occupied Primorsk in Zaporizhzhia Oblast.
So this has to be a mistake. You would fire those off if someone was shooting you with a heat-seeking missile. That's why you would fire these off. It's not firing missiles that are killing people, but it's a countermeasure to prevent being shot down. It's steering wildly and throwing off countermeasures it doesn't need to. So yeah, I don't know what, too much vodka? It's probably a system failure. It's probably a failure of the helicopter.
They're not sure what are they truing to do. Maybe to get people off the beach? Then why didn't they just bring the police to disperse the people? This seems like an overreaction to me.
That guy, I'm just gonna say that guy was wearing a G-string. That guy was not buck-ass naked, okay? I'm sorry, Jeff. That guy was definitely clothed. So some are speculating that this was totally intentional. This wasn't a mistake. This was this guy trying to scare these Russians away from this area. Oh, this is occupied territory. Yeah, Tisrael. Yeah, you're not going to hit that button by accident. The countermeasure button. So these are Ukrainians. Are these Ukrainians that are being terrorized by the Russians occupying their land? Wow, guys, what a great liberation you got going on here. You know, what happened to hearts and minds, Russia? Is that really what it is? Is this Russia spending their military resources? There's several helicopters to harass civilians on a beach? No way. Not even Russia is that stupid and petty. Really?
This little piggy tried to hide, and then the big bad wolf came.
Okay. Thank you, AI voice. Those people on the beach are so happy that Nazis are gone. Was Russia ever hearts and minds? They pretended for a couple seconds. Then Bucha happened. All right. They got it. So then the other relevant thing from this clip that I wanted to show was, I guess Russia is, you know, they're just forcefully rebranding products and things. So I guess there's probably, if there's a plant making like Pringles cans in Russia.
In factories, Pringles started producing chips with a GeoGriev strip, and
there's no way Pringles approved of this. There's no fucking way this is approved by Pringles corporate. And if it is, I'm never going to eat another fucking Pringle in my life. And that pisses me off because they're really fucking good. Shut the fuck up. Pringles are awesome. There's no way they approved of this. There's no fucking way. Listen what they call the flavor.
The inscription, with the taste of victory.
With the taste of victory? No fucking way. No fucking way. All right. I'm going to assume that this was not Pringles' choice, Pringle Company's choice, okay? But if someone proves me wrong, I'm going to be pissed off at you because then I'll never eat another Pringle. Fuck, man. Don't do this to me, Pringles. I'd love fucking Pringles. Fuck, man. I'm such a fat ass. Go get me some Pringles. All right, I know, more Warthog defense. I'm so sorry. I know they suck. But God, the clips are good. The clips are too good. They're too fucking good. All right, sorry. But I am sorry. They hijacked most factories. There's no way Pringles company, whatever, did that. No. Like, wouldn't that be funny, though? Pringles is just, like, out of the blue, like, super pro-Russian for some reason. Be like, whoa, that's unexpected. I don't know. I guess I just assumed you were more aligned with the Western Alliance. I don't often think about where chip companies lie politically. I guess I think more about ice cream companies, right? Because you got Ben and Jerry's over here. Fucking Ben and... I'm never going to eat no more Ben and Jerry. That shit was nasty anyway, dude. It was half candy, half ice, you know, inedible ice cream. Everyone, oh, it's so good, it's so good. Bullshit. Ben and Jerry's is gross. Ben and Jerry's sucks, dude. It's just candy. It's just sugar and candy. Okay. Ben and, you know, Cherry Garcia is pretty good, but their politics suck, dude. They're like in full alignment with Roger Waters, you know. Defeatism, you know, that's their message. Oh, why can't we all just get along? Defeatism coming out of fucking, you know, Ben and Jerry's over there. Pretty pathetic. Because it's like it's either ignorance of the actual issues, like you're just pretending to actually pay attention, you think you're defaulting to the left position on that, you actually don't know what you're talking about, or you're intentionally supporting Russia, what, because you're like nostalgic for the Soviet Union or something, right? Either way, there's no excuse. No excuse. You're either ignorant, you don't know what the fuck's going on, or, you know, you're intentionally doing this. So I did want to show this. Once again, killer clip. This is unbelievable. The screenshot is not related to what we're hearing and what we're seeing here. This is a screenshot from a different incident. They're just doing it for comedy's sake, I guess. Now they tow tanks for money. That's great. Tisrael. This is unbelievable audio. Russians are getting, like, I think artillery striked or mortar striked or just shot at from their own side, from Russians, And this is the radio chatter going back and forth. And you see, and this is what, it's crazy, dude. It's absolutely crazy. Listen to this.
Russian artillerists demonstrated an excellent case of friendly fire on Orakiv direction.
So the guy's flipping out. You're shooting us. You can't hear any of the explosions, but it does sound like something crazy is happening around him. So what is his comrade on the other end of the radio? Okay, guys, let's keep the airways clear for now. Okay, thanks. The guy is getting fucking shredded. His men are being shredded by his own side. He's like, stop immediately. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and let's keep the chatter down to a minimum.
Так, мужики, эфир только сейчас пока не засоряем, ни в коем случае. Отставить, как принял! Гранит, отставить, как принял, отставить арту! Извини, все, успокойся, блядь! Отставить, блядь, нас
They're still shooting at him.
Куда вы нахуй ебатесь, блядь?
So Granite is the entity shooting at him, and I believe they call themselves they're the Rambo unit, maybe. Yeah, it's Russia. It's that cringe. Yeah, Steven Seagal movies. Okay, they think they're good. Have you seen a Steven Seagal movie? It's trash. Just giving you their angle.
Я Рэмбо подтверждаю по нам, блядь. Гранит отставить огонь. Байкал, отставить огонь. По нашим бьют. Говоришь ты, сука! Слышишь? Нас никого не оставишь, блядь! Да, на связи. Ты вот сейчас крайне прям вот только что прям спросил, как порядок, непорядок, прям по нам прилетело. Все, принял. Отрабатывали наши, с нашей стороны хуярил, блядь. Ну да, с нашей стороны вообще прилетел прям четко. Гранит, отставить огонь! По нашим попадают. Гранит, отставить огонь, я Рэмбо. Я ретранслятор.
It happens in Ukraine as well. Not as a policy.
The fact that we are silent does not mean...
Well, True Sponge, we were listening to Russian radio communications with each other. One Russian group of soldiers was firing mortars and machine gun fire probably at a different group of Russians. And that Russian was begging that group to stop shooting at them, and they continued to do so. Yeah. Lenny, Steven Seagal movies are an embarrassment. That man, I don't know if he has U.S. citizenship, it should be revoked. I'm saying it, dude. That's a hot take, but I'm saying it. Fuck Steven Seagal. All right. Let's go ahead and get our map update from everyone's favorite YouTube channel, reporting from Ukraine. Also, I do enjoy Dennis's channel as well. Make sure you check out Dennis's Ukraine map update. But I know, I'm sorry, it's from 19 hours ago. We'd have to wait until like 7 or 8 o'clock to get an update, the newest one. Oh, Dennis just put out a video. All right. Okay. All right. We haven't seen a Dennis video in a minute. Let's go ahead and do that. It's your boy Dennis. He didn't just put one out. Why are you lying to me? Why is Chem Goblin? Why are you doing this? Is it you trolling me? You trolling me, Chem Goblin? You trolling me, bud? It's literally a tragedy, happens on each side and shouldn't be treated as a good thing by anyone. I mean, hey, if my enemy wants to make a mistake, I'm not going to stop him. No big battlefield movements anyway. Well, I like to do the update anyway. I like to do the map update anyway.
Hello, my friends. It is a...
Well, what the fuck? How come you can see it but I can't? What the fuck, man? How does that work? I'm looking at his list of videos. What the... How does this work? How does YouTube work? Okay. Yeah, EU privileges. Okay. Thank you, Chem Goblin. Thank you. Shut up, True Sponge, man. Give me a break, man. I'm trying to be funny here. I do both. I'm a jokey asshole. You know, I'm trying to make the news more accessible for everybody by injecting my terrible humor into it. Okay, calm down. I'm just joking, True Sponge. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All right. You seem like a really nice person. I don't mean to scare you away. I'm sorry. All right, let's get into it here. Map update from Dennis.
Hello my friends, it is a big day for Ukraine and let's say a great disaster for the Russian Federation. Many of the awesome events, let's start from the front lines and let's go to the Bakhmut area because there is the big change. There wasn't update yesterday, but today it was the big one. So let's zoom in and let's go to yesterday.
Welcome,
you
True
may
Sponge.
see
Thank
that
you.
this part of the
Really
land is
appreciate it.
not
Thank you.
very big, but indeed Ukraine took control over.
I got to say, I love all the Ukrainian viewers here. You guys are awesome. Ukrainian people are pretty kick-ass folks, I got to say. Pretty kick-ass folks. I really enjoy, like, how chill your average Ukrainian is, but also, like, they're chill, but you're not going to be able to walk all over them. Right? I appreciate that. I respect that mentality.
The hills. Before we took that elevation and today we took the second one. It means that basically Russia has no other choice but to leave Klishivka village as soon as possible. Otherwise their positions would be just demolished over there. Still, they control this part of the forest line, but we know that we received the updates of the military map with a little delay. That means that probably Ukraine took this part as well. It is the small.
There's also a lot of information we don't know because the deep state map isn't updated. You know, it's about 24 hours information. It's kind of old, right? Hey, True Sponge, sure, yeah. Well, I believe in democracy. This is democracy worth fighting for.
Valley between the hills are not very high, around 220 meters, but that's enough to see everything, including the Bakhmut city. So as I say to you at the beginning of this week that I give around 2 weeks for Russia to leave Klishivka. So I guess at the end of the next week they're gonna leave the village. The hills that were taken are much more important compared to the village itself. My friends, before we continue with the other parts of the front lines, for example the south one, we have this update is bigger compared to what is happening in the Bakhmut area. Let's go to the timeline. It was before and it is today. The movement of Ukrainian army is for about 3.5 kilometers, which is quite a lot. And if we measure from this end till this one, let's try to do it, for example, somewhere over here, it's 5 kilometers. So Ukrainian army took more ground per day than the Wagner soldiers took in the Bakhmut area for more than 1 month. It is just to show you the scale of the counteroffensive. It is slower than expected, but not dramatically slow. The main thing over here that Ukraine took control over those lakes that were the natural obstacles for our army. You see that our guys have already crossed it, and this is the new fighting edge. Also, the fighting is happening in the gray zone. The next step will be to advance towards Priyutne. There is the fighting already from the information I have. Plus there are also some of the small lakes. We don't need to cross them from this place. We may go from this direction or we may advance from this direction simultaneously. So Priyutne will be liberated next week as well. I would bet on that. You may say that this area is not that important for Ukraine because there are no any villages, but my friends, there are lots of the forest lines and there is the road from Novodarivka to Priyutne. Plus the main thing was actually to cross the river with those lakes in this area, and we did it successfully. So it opens the new opportunities for Ukrainian army in this region. I guess this direction is the most successful one for Ukrainian counterattack right now. If you see all of these green liberated areas and blue liberated areas and compare with other parts, this one is definitely the success. However, we're still far from the Russian defense lines, as you can see on this military map. There are some trenches close to Staromayorsky.
That is a little depressing that we haven't even really hit the main trench line yet. Updates are relevant. Ukraine would take them, and Russia would take. Yeah, I mean that's the case sometimes, Davey. I do agree that it's you know some of this information it's a little unnecessary, but I think you know It's related. At the very least, I'm getting one video that's showing the map, right? Instead of me pretending like I understand how to even say these names of these towns, right? I'm not John Madden, right? So he's more qualified to do this than I am. But I do agree, you know, the battlefield can be very fluid.
As you can see on this military map.
Yeah, this is
There are some
depressing, though.
trenches close to Starmayorsky, but I'm sure that it's not a big problem for Ukrainian army. But here it could be without the long-range
Jesus
missiles.
Christ.
So I guess we should wait.
I mean, look at these trench networks, guys. This is not a joke. There's hundreds of miles of trench networks. Fully a trench network that completely surrounds Topknok or whatever however the fuck you say it. Okay, Davey. Okay. Don't look at the red, look at the blue. Davey over here just pooping on the party.
Wait.
Do you prefer reporting? Sorry, I'm being an ass. No, you're all right. Do you prefer reporting from Ukraine?
For the cluster munitions and then try again the counteroffensive maneuvers in this area on the south. Speaking about the Ukrainian landing operation in Antonovsky Bridge, less and less information is coming from that region, unfortunately. That is what I named the fog.
And this is what Davey is talking about, you know, with Ukraine, and, you know, supporters have been, you know, cheering on this, you know, this bridgehead, this, you know, this area that they've taken over, but yeah, it looks like maybe they've been pushed back, unfortunately.
Of war. No one wants to tell the current information about what is happening here. It could be very sensitive. From the last update couple of days ago, Ukrainian army controlled this territory, including the Dachi area, but wasn't able to move forward to Aleshki, as you understand. So I guess it is the standstill situation for both of the sides. Ukraine today targeted several of the ammunition.
We don't have all the information, though. Deep State holds back this information, and Ukraine's holding back information. So this is what we're looking at, but the reality is probably much different. Maybe less Russian territory, maybe more.
Situation for both of the sides. Ukraine today targeted several of the ammunition depots on the Russian-controlled territories, including Melitopol.
They finally admitted
Yesterday,
it, huh?
some of the Russians published how they received the convoy in Melitopol, so probably that information went to Ukrainian command, and they decided to target those munitions in Melitopol. Plus, there were some kabooms in Donetsk and also near to Luhansk. It's the standard one. As you're able to witness, even though Ukrainian army moves slower than expected, we still have the initiative on the front lines, taking more ground day by day. Russia went mostly to defense, and I don't see any perspective for them to move as fast, taking more ground.
The only confirmation that we had before this was Ukraine like doing a smiley face emoji on the story, like the Ukrainian Defense Twitter account doing like a I don't know, emoji or something. Wasn't that it?
As the Ukrainian army moves right now, the only counterattack try for Russia.
No, Davey, yeah, you make a good point. I don't see an alternative, but it is information overload, and a lot of this information, like you said, you know, it's a give and take situation.
It was near to Kreminna, but it was not successful. They lost many of the armored vehicles plus tanks. I don't know why, but they want to retake, let's say, this territory after they lost it 1 year ago. Also today, they attacked the civilian infrastructure in Liman, causing devastations and life losses for civilians.
So you're literally being pushed back. Right? Your resources are stretched thin. You're Russia. Your resources are stretched thin. So you take the time to fire a fucking missile into an apartment building. Right? You got Ukrainian targets and positions all along this front line, and you're going to shoot a missile at some fucking at grandma and grandpa. I don't know what it's going to take for Russia to drop this, Stalingrad was the most important fight of and like every fight we need to fight like it's Stalingrad. I don't know what it's going to take to get Russia to drop this mentality. But, Stalingrad is not the template to be, using on the battlefield. This idea that you could just accomplish anything with just enough human bodies thrown at it does not feel sustainable, and it certainly doesn't feel humane.
Liman is not far away from the front lines, so Russia used their rocket artillery systems to target that city. But after all, Russia has no perspectives even in this area. Let's watch the timeline for the Bakhmut area for the last 5 days. Let's go for it.
Yeah,
so
Davey,
we have the major advancement over there.
Davey, you have to admit, Crimea is still on the table for Russia. If Russia is able, especially if a Republican gets into office, not because of how the Republicans act, but because the perception that Putin will have that a Republican is going to stop supporting Ukraine. If Russia is able to drag this out long enough, they might be able to leave with Crimea, whether Ukraine wants it or not.
There, as you able to see. And this is how Russia tried today to perform the counterattack operation. They lost.
Okay, so yeah, you've seen all this kind of stuff. We all seen that. All right, folks. There you go. There you go. There's the motherfucking News Underground for you, folks. Yeah, well, we'll see about that. David. Garbagefield would like to thank everybody here in the chat, but especially those that are chatting. All you lurkers. All you lurkers out there. Davey, Tisriel, Tukawa, Chem Goblin, True Sponge, Panda Man, Lenny, your boy motherfucking Lenny. Yo, Lenny. Make sure you check out Lenny's YouTube channel, Accidents Waiting to Happen. Check out Lenny's YouTube channel, Accidents Waiting to Happen. Excellent YouTube channel. Big props to You Win TV. Thank you for coming back. All of you, if you've come back. All you lurkers out there, thank you for being here. Lurkers are absolutely wonderful. I'd love to see you. Thank you. All you guys that are kind of gaming the system. I see you gaming the system to help me out. I got a couple spoof accounts going. Thank you so much to all you. 15 drinks in. Big props. 15 drinks in. Feels like it's growing, Chem Goblin. It feels like it's growing. I hope it is. The whole point of the News Underground is to provide real information to real motherfuckers who are actually going to do something with that information, not just sit on their ass. So I hope we're growing. Because if we're growing, that means that there are people interested in getting something done. So big props. Agros, big props to you. Unsatiable, big props to you. Commander Root to go away. Who? Commander Root. Who's that? I don't see anyone in my chat named Commander Root. Why should I tell Commander Root to go away? That's a bot. If you tell it to go away in chat, it will leave. Well, don't do that to me. I'm a fucking, I don't even get 20 views per stream, bro. You're gonna fuck me over? Let the bots hang out. Let's just chill. Let the bots hang. Anyway, thank you, YouTube. We're going to say goodbye to the stream here, but thank you, YouTube. That's my Ukraine update.